from 11 to 1. It's time to get up and get your day started. It's Sports 56 Mornings with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Now, here are your hosts, Greg and Eli.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome in on this Hump Day Wednesday edition of Sports 56 Mornings. Hope you had a great Tuesday. It was a good night for Memphis. It wasn't a perfect night, but anytime you get a road win, I don't care what conference you play in, is always a good thing. And that's what happened for the Memphis Tigers last night, winning at UTSA. We will discuss that on the program today. Lots of topics to dive into. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you on this Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. We are in the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure's where family and fun come together. Their first ever preseason pool, spa, and patio event is going on right now. So great deals on pools and spas, cold plunges, patio furniture. And when you stop by, you can register to win either a free pool, a spa, or a patio set. Stop by today to sign up. It's free. Family Leisure, 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. 46 degrees currently. It's only going to get up to 47. That's what they say. Sorry, I'm just reporting the weather. I'm not making the weather. So it's going to be a cold day. The winds are going to be howling today. Wind gusts of over 40 miles per hour. Now, there is a chance of some rain, some lingering rain this morning, about a 50% chance. So obviously, a 1 in 2 chance for you to get a little precipitation. But for the most part, it'll be dry. May even see the sun a little bit. But again, the temperatures will stay below 50. Then for your Wednesday night, mostly clear with the temperature dropping down to the freezing mark at 32. You thought you were all by that, right? We all thought winter was behind us. Not so fast, my friends. Tomorrow, 56 for a high with mostly sunny skies. As I mentioned, the Tigers win last night at UTSA. They clinch at least a tie for the American Conference regular season title, the first ever for the Tigers as a member of the American Conference. They also gained the number 1 seed in the American Conference tournament, which will take place next week in Fort Worth, Texas. We'll discuss that. Number 1 goes down. Auburn is beaten by Texas A&M, beaten pretty soundly, may I add. We will discuss that, all the games from the SEC last night, some national games of significance that took place last night, and a number of games on the schedule for tonight. The Grizzlies will play tonight, the number 1 team in the West, Oklahoma City, and they'll do so minus a few players. Now, we don't know the status yet with Ja other than he's questionable. Could he be back in the lineup? That's possible. But the news, not great for Jaren Jackson Jr. Could have been worse, but not great. We will talk about the walking wounded, which unfortunately that list starting to add up for the Grizzlies. We got NBA games from last night to dive into, including LeBron James going over 50,000 career points. We got some NFL news that we'll get to, and also some news involving the College Football Playoff Committee. We'll take your calls and texts on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines at 901-360-8255. And then our Wednesday usual cast of characters, Jerry Palm at 8:25 with his latest bracketology, DeMichael Cole on the Grizzlies at 9:05, and Parthu Pajai on the Tigers at 9:25. That's your lineup for this Wednesday edition of Sports 56 Mornings. Eli, how are you?
I am splendid.
Yeah?
Although that wind is brutal. Brutal wind.
Not good for golfing, but I don't know how many people are going to hit the course today.
It's that wind's so strong it messed my hair up.
Yeah, your hair is all frazzled. Go comb it.
Man, it is. And it's a cold wind. It is a cold wind to blow in.
Yeah, there was some serious weather around the country. I mean, we had a mixture of everything. Storms in the south. I'm not sure how much of an effect it had on the Mardi Gras celebrations. Yesterday was Fat Tuesday. Today's Ash Wednesday. Mardi Gras going on. And they had some storms in the south. They had still wintry weather in the Midwest and parts of the north. So, yeah, Mother Nature still doing her thing as she usually does. Elijah Seegers, what's happening to you, my friend?
Nothing much. Had a good night of hoops last night. Had a lot to keep us entertained, so I'm feeling good and ready to go.
Yeah, I was shocked by that Auburn result. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but we open up with the Tigers. It's still hard to believe, and I know the American Conference hasn't been around forever, but the fact that Memphis, the bell cow in this conference, had not won a regular season American Conference title. They're currently sharing it, but on Friday night, final game, which is senior night, 8 o'clock, tip from FedEx Forum against South Florida. You would imagine they'll take care of business, win it outright. They've already clinched the number 1 seed for next week's tournament. I said on the show yesterday that there was going to be some anxious moments, that they were going to start out sluggish because they had just come off the high of winning in Birmingham against UAB with that huge second half. It's exactly what happened to start the game. But as all of us figured, they would get it together and they would win, and I figured they would win. Nothing's ever comfortably with Memphis, but they would win, and it wouldn't be a last-second deal. Well, they established the lead once they got off to the bad start. They go up by 11, and you think, okay, it's going to be a fairly easy night at the office. Not so fast, my friends. 22 turnovers. And I want to talk about in a minute the strategy from UTSA defensively against this Memphis team. 22 turnovers, just 12 assists, so you hate that ratio. I know Penny wasn't happy with the effort, but he was very happy with the result. Memphis gets the win. Down the stretch, P.J. Haggerty making free throws. UTSA with seconds to go, a curious three-point heave as opposed to maybe going in to try to tie the game, force overtime. But Memphis gets the win 75-70. Turnovers certainly rearing their ugly head. And at times in that game, you just scratched your head about what the Tigers were doing. But in the end, they get the dub. They take care of business, win it again by the score 75-70. They go to 25-5 and 15-2 in the conference. And of course, as you would expect, a road win in the conference doesn't mean anything. They dropped 2 spots in the net. Of course, Mississippi State did not help by getting upset by Texas in Starkville. So Memphis now 47 in the net.
Yeah, I mentioned yesterday on the show that UTSA, the only redeeming quality of their defense, because their defense is horrible, but they do force a lot of turnovers. For whatever reason, they're able to get a lot of turnovers, top 30 in the country in getting turnovers. And obviously the turnovers have been an issue from time to time for the Tigers. And last night was one of those times with the 22 turnovers. But, still able to get there, get the win. Haggerty getting to the free throw line. A lot of talk about his. Now, I also suggest that UTSA does foul a lot. And Haggerty, 12 of 13 at the line. Danger continues to be really, really good. And kind of quietly, Nicholas Jourdain has been really good here recently. Very efficient. He's been efficient. That's what's good. Like he's been scoring without taking many shots. And last night, 5 for 6 from the field. Didn't shoot it well at the free throw line, but also rebounding, blocking shots, doing a little bit of everything as well. So good for them to get the conference title wrapped up. Again, not outright, but they could claim a conference championship, and they'll be the number 1 seed for the tournament. And Friday night, get a chance to make that all their own.
So Memphis led by 2 with 12 seconds to go, and UTSA got the ball back with a chance to tie the game, force overtime, hit a 3, take the lead, maybe win the game outright. It was anxious moments for Tigers fans, and UTSA very early went for the 3. It was Primo Spears who didn't take a great 3 and may have forced that shot. Memphis got the rebound. Haggerty hit 2 free throws with 10 seconds left, and for all intents and purposes, it was over, although he went to the free throw line another 4 times and made all those free throws. So he hit 6 straight free throws down the stretch. They hit a 3, then more Haggerty free throws. In the end, they win by 5, but it was Haggerty getting to the free throw line, making the free throws. You mentioned that. He was 12 of 13 from the free throw line. He was just 3 of 10 from the field. So the points still added up to 18, did have 6 rebounds, did have 3 assists, but he had 6 turnovers. So why did the turnovers rear their ugly head again? Well, this was, I think, a good game plan by UTSA to trap the guards for Memphis and to force them to pass. They made some bad decisions. They turned the ball over a lot because of the pressure. The starting guards, the backcourt, and Memphis runs a 3-guard lineup to start with Rogers, with Hunter, and Haggerty. They combined for 12 of the 22 turnovers. Now, Danger had 3, Jourdain had 2, guys off the bench, Cisse had 3, Carter had 1. But your guards have to protect the basketball much, much better. You do this against a better team, you're done in the NCAA tournament. So that was worrisome. 12 turnovers between Haggerty, Hunter, and Rogers because they were pressured. That was a good strategy by UTSA, and it almost worked. But Danger was a monster again, 19 points, 8 rebounds. You mentioned Jourdain, who's been playing really, really well. Filled up the stat sheet with 13 and 8, 2 assists, 2 blocks. And then Tyrese Hunter, 8 points, 6 rebounds. It was nice to see him really get going a little bit more like he did earlier in the year. He had just 2 assists to 4 turnovers. You want that the other way, even better if possible. Dante Harris, who's one of their guys that comes off the bench, injured in the first half. Ankle injury. We don't know the status yet, but it may not be good. Usually it is not when it's an ankle. And Memphis not being a deep team, that would be a big loss. So you'll have more Baraka Okoje. Memphis used 5 guys off the bench, including Harris, who only played the 1 minute before he got hurt, and Dink Yates, who played just 2 minutes. But they played 5 guys. UTSA played 7 total guys. Their 2 players off the bench scored 30 points. So their bench outscored Memphis 30-7. You look at the minutes in the game, Primo Spears for them played 40. He played the entire game. But Memphis had 5 guys that played over 30 minutes. The 5 starters, Danger 30, Hunter, Rogers 32, Nicholas Jourdain 33, and Haggerty 38. So Penny got him a little breather here and there and got him back into the game. And that's what we'll see in the tournament, no question about it. But this was tough. You just played on Sunday afternoon. It was a quick turnaround. The highs of what happened on Sunday, you just figured there would be a lull in the action. And there was. But once they got that lead, I was very disappointed to see them give up most of that lead, to play lackadaisical, and UTSA to have that chance in the end. Bottom line is they won. That's the most important thing. But they continue to play at times, in fact, most of the season, to the level of the competition, either stepping it up or dropping it down. And that's just something that has been part of their DNA this year. It's worked out for the most part.
Yeah, I don't know why I don't bet. I don't know why I don't just bet against Memphis every time in these conference games. you would do well doing that. Penny in Jason Munn's story talking about the Harris injury said a high ankle sprain right now is what we could see. Might not be back for a minute. I hope I'm not speaking it into existence. We'll see when we get back to Memphis. And yeah, if it is a high ankle sprain, normally that is not a good thing, and takes some time to recover and get back from those. But as Penny said, they'll know more for sure when they get back here and can do some more investigating on that injury.
Yeah, well, a minute sounds like, oh, okay, that's a quick turnaround. No, kind of tongue-in-cheek when you say that. A minute in this case is going to be a while, and you have the conference tournament next week. So you're talking about 3 games in 3 days if Memphis is going to win the championship, and that's one less player you have coming off the bench. Again, they don't go deep. They don't need to go deep unless, God forbid, another injury or a game that is closely called where you get into foul trouble. So that's something to keep an eye on, not having their midseason addition, who has done a really nice job, Dante Harris. And if it is a high ankle sprain, that could be the end of his season. Because we're talking about the NCAA tournament just a couple of weeks away. But their season does not depend on Dante Harris. Let's be honest here. He's a nice little body to have to come in to spell one of those guards. But we know where their bread is buttered. And it's those 3 guards and Dane Danger. And those guys all need to be electric if they are to advance deep into the NCAA tournament. Now, they drop in the net. Mississippi State's loss does not help them at all. We'll have Jerry's bracketology. I haven't looked yet at JP's this week. There was another bracketology I saw yesterday. Somebody had reposted it on Twitter, retweeted it, and they had Memphis as an 8. And again, I'm boggled. My mind is boggled that right now, looking at that resume and coming away with an 8. I don't get it. I just don't understand. They lose another game. Okay, I understand that. But right now at 25-5 and 15-2 in the conference. I mean, again, we talked about it yesterday, how hard it is to run the table. Auburn now loses their second in the conference. They looked unbeatable to me. Yes, Texas A&M is much better than UTSA and Rice and a lot of those teams in the conference. But still, you have to be at the top of your game every single time you play. And it's not easy, especially this game, the quick turnaround, coming off the euphoria of winning. There was going to be a letdown. And some credit, certainly, to UTSA for their defensive scheme.
Tiger Steve texts in on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line at 360-8255. Steve says, I have to text in and eat crow. I had a message on my phone that came up and said, this time last year, I told you all that there was no way they would win the conference. And we did. I'm thinking we win one in the big dance and run up against a tough team and exit, but a good year for Penny. Reggie says, I think Harris is not a big loss, except maybe on defense. But you have to score points in tournament games. P.J. Carter can get points.
Yeah, P.J. yesterday, he said P.J. Carter, right? Obviously Haggerty, unless he meant Haggerty. P.J. Carter, 1 of 2 from 3 against his former team. He has slowed down the last few games, but I think he's an important part of this team to spell those guards, to give them an offensive lift coming off the bench. You're not going to get a lot of points from Musa. Harris, capable of knocking down a 3 every once in a while, but now probably on the shelf. This could mean more significant minutes for Dink Yates in a reserve role. But yes, losing Dante Harris, as I just said a moment ago, is not a big deal in the overall scheme of things, the overall big picture. But still, if you have a game where another guy goes down or they're calling it close and there's fouls galore, you like to have a little bit of insurance. And that means more for Baraka Okoje coming off the bench to spell one of those guards.
David Texan says that's why we're only 47 in the net, barely beating teams in the 200s. And before you lose the mind about the net and this conference and everything else, SMU last night in the ACC, they won a game against Syracuse. They fell 5 spots with their win. Boise State won by 23 on the road at Air Force last night. They dropped 3 spots in the net. So this isn't a Memphis thing.
I don't think it was Memphis necessarily dropping because they won by 5 on the road, which, again, the margin of victory should not be a factor, in my opinion and in the opinion of many. It's just ridiculous. I think they dropped the 2 spots because Mississippi State, a team that beat Memphis on Memphis's home floor, lost at home to Texas. And I continue to say, the biggest mystery of any team in the country, the biggest Jekyll and Hyde, is Mississippi State. So in the NCAA tournament, try to figure out where you want to put them once the bracket comes out and how far you want them going, because I can't figure these guys out from game to game.
Well, the Mississippi State game does drop to a quad 2 game, but the reason the 2 teams that jumped Memphis to make him call the drop 2 spots are Arkansas and Texas. Those were the 2 teams who jumped them in the net last night. Both picked up huge wins on the road against SEC opponents who are tournament teams. So They both jumped over Memphis, and they jumped over a lot of these other teams, too. That's why a lot of these teams, even with wins, fell last night in the net. Those are two of the teams that made big leaps last night because of big road wins over quad one opponents.
Yes, look, I'm the first one to tell you how hard it is to win at Memorial Gym. That was a great win for Arkansas. Vandy wasn't ranked, right? They weren't a top 25 team, but it was still a really, really good win to take it 90-77. Arkansas is not better than Memphis. They're just not a better team than Memphis. But they're now ahead of them in the net because the SEC is the best conference. Although this morning, it may have been last night, but I saw it this morning, a little bit of a debate going on. I think Ken Pomeroy is one that has come out and said this, that the SEC may be a bit overrated, that they're getting the benefit of the doubt, that they're strong, but maybe not as infallible as people think. So right now, you're going to get the benefit of the doubt. And Georgia beating South Carolina on the road, that's going to land them in the NCAA tournament more than likely. Texas is still out of it, I think. They should be out of it. There are some people who think that Mississippi State should be out of it. But the resume is too strong to be out of it. They were top 25 this past week. They'll probably drop out of it now, I would think. But they lose at home to Texas. Texas is not good. Just because they're in the SEC, they get the benefit of the doubt. But that loss for Mississippi State is mind-boggling. But again, there's nothing Memphis can do. We go back to yesterday, and we were talking about Jason Munn's interview with Tim Pernetti, friend of the show, about what he can do to help these teams in this league schedule tougher opponents. At least their strength of schedule would improve. I don't know how many games they win against those type opponents because they were awful this year. Not a lot of big-time opponents on the schedules to begin with. Memphis played the big-time opponents. But the teams they did play, they lost to. And then, and I'm talking in generality right here with all these teams in the conference other than Memphis, then they started to lose to mediocre teams or bad teams. And so that's where you are crushed by your perception of the conference, which perception a lot of times is reality.
I mean, obviously it's his opinion, whatever, but I'd find it weird that Ken Pomeroy would try and say the SEC is overrated when he has 14 of the 16 teams in his top 44 in the country.
Yeah, and I want to go back, but I'm pretty sure it was
that
him
would make
because
no sense. He's got the entire conference in the top 81 and 14 of the 16 in his top 44. I don't know how that could be. I guess if he's overrating him, if he believes he's overrating him in his formula or whatever, but I mean, I don't know how that could be, how he would be saying they're overrated.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was him because then the reaction was, I got to figure out who responded this morning. If I could find this, let me see.
Not to mention,
here it is.
He has the 5 of the top 6 teams in the country.
Yeah, here.
That's offensive rating. Let me look at. He has 4 of the top 6 in the country from the SEC.
Okay, so here it is, March 4th. That's yesterday. Why hasn't anyone said the SEC is overrated? Question mark. The SEC is probably overrated. Ken Pomeroy. And then a guy like Danny Cannell tweets, the smartest man in basketball is saying out loud what I have been thinking for the past 3 months. Thank you. Of course, his allegiance is with the ACC and with Florida State. So what does he know? Football player turned media member.
Cannell loves to troll SEC fans. That's all he does.
He does. But that's Pomeroy's quote. I'm reading it right now. So that's interesting. But going back to the scheduling, Jason Munz had tweeted this out. Memphis faced, because yesterday you were bringing up the neutral court wins or home wins, and they still had a big road win at Clemson. But Munz said Memphis faced 5 power conference teams in non-neutral site games this season. Again, some home, some away. SEC, ACC, Big 12, Big 10, Big East. The other 12 American Conference teams combined to go up against 9. All the other teams combined, 9. Memphis played 5 power conference teams, or played 5 teams from 5 power conferences. They played 4 SEC teams. They are just lumped in to this crappy American Conference, and it's hurt them. And I'm not saying they should be top 10 or a number 3 seed. I'm not crazy, but there is a bias against them because of the conference they're in. This year's team deserves better. Now, we'll see. We'll see what the committee does. Again, assuming, which I shouldn't do, but if they win Friday night and win the conference tournament, they would be 26, 29 and 5. Does that make sense? Yeah, 29 and 5, 16 and 2, regular season champions, conference tournament champions. You know the wins, you know the losses. To me, that doesn't add up to an 8-9 game. Not at all. And again, you're coming off a game on Sunday afternoon, a huge emotional game. Now you're on the road in San Antonio. They're bringing out all stops to try to make their season. There's going to be a letdown. You got off to a horrible start. You battled back. Then you started to turn the ball over, which, again, has been a bugaboo most times this year for Memphis, something that they can't allow to happen in the postseason or they're done. They can't turn the ball over that many times. That's crazy. But they still found a way to win. They still won on the road. I don't care what conference you're in. But you're never going to get a pat on the back for that. I guarantee you when we go to calls, 9 out of 10 of our calls will be the negative stuff about last night. That's usually the case. I mean, we know our cast of characters. They're going to find the negative stuff. And you know, I understand. There's some negative stuff. But they finally got it done. I cannot believe, again, it has never happened until now that they've won the American Conference regular season title. And they'll win it outright with a game on Friday if they take care of business. Well, speaking of basketball, you want to become a better basketball player, a better shooter of the basketball. You can take your basketball skills to the next level at Shoot 360 Memphis. Shoot 360 is a revolutionary basketball training facility that combines cutting-edge technology with gamification, provides instant objective feedback with hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching. They have 2 locations, the original in Collierville and the brand spanking new, well, not brand spanking new, it opened up in the summer, but it's a 50,000 square foot facility, and it's located in Cordova. You can become a member at both. You can become a member at either one. It doesn't matter, whatever's easier for you, probably to get to, back and forth. But you're going to get that same incredible coaching, that hands-on, one-on-one expert coaching, all the modern analytics. So all the numbers will tell you where you are with your arc, how you're shooting the ball, the depth, all that stuff. And then the actual technology, which is incredible. The bays that you go and do the shooting at, the passing bays that they have, and then the full courts that they have. In fact, they have 3 high school-sized courts and 4 shooting bays with Shoot 360 technology at the Cordova location. They have free coaching clinics as well for all you coaches out there. Just contact Shoot 360 Memphis, find out when the next coaching clinic is on the schedule, and go check it out. But as I always say, call them up or stop by, tour the place, right? Find out what it's all about, because it's one thing me saying it, another thing going there and actually trying it out and doing it yourself, and then join. Monthly membership. Do it for 1 month. If you don't like it, end it all. If you like it, sign up for another month or multiple months or a year. I think you're going to fall in love with it. It's Shoot 360 Memphis. The future of basketball training is here at Shoot 360 Memphis. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Specializes in designing and installing automatic gates and fencing that seamlessly blend Service Director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 912715199.
SIH is a proud supporter of the Mississippi Farm Bureau, and thanks to a membership benefits partnership, Mississippi Farm Bureau members receive a discount of up to $500 on every qualifying Case IH tractor and piece of equipment you purchase. This discount may be used with other promotions, rebates, or offers. So join Mid-South Ag Equipment and the Mississippi Farm Bureau and pocket up to $500 in savings. Call Mid-South Ag at 662-890-3141 to get your discount today.
If wedding bells are in your future, you need an unforgettable engagement ring from a jeweler you can trust. And that's been James Gaddis Jewelers for over 60 years. With a huge selection and the best prices, James Gaddis is a master jeweler and diamondologist. Beautiful jewelry from James Gaddis is always the right choice. Choose from rings to earrings, necklaces to bracelets, and gemstones to watches. Layaway and financing available. James Gaddis Jewelers, 4900 Poplar, online at GaddisJewelers.com and Instagram at Gaddis Jewelers. Say I do at James Gaddis Jewelers.
Listen each and every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is the USA Church downtown Memphis.
Brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. That traffic volume has picked up on 385 Bill Morris Parkway just in the last few minutes coming inbound, especially coming from Collierville down 385 Bill Morris, trying to get on that ramp there to 240. Traffic's on the increase also on I-40 at the 101 connector, 51 southbound. That's still moving right now as you work your way out of Millington down through Woodstock. If your lawn needs some help, don't worry. Lawn Solutions is here with 30 years experience. Lawn Solutions. Give them a call at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 morning on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Congratulations to PJ Haggerty. He is one of 5 finalists announced for the Jerry West Award, which is given to the country's best collegiate shooting guard. He is joined by Chaz Lanier from Tennessee, Caleb Love, Trey Johnson, and VJ Edgecombe. So 1 in 5 shot for Haggerty to take home the hardware.
Yeah, great for him.
Well-deserved to be on that list. If you want to talk Tigers, 360-8255. That's 901-360-8255. You can call in. If you're shy, just text in. Hit us up on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener lines. Same number, 901-360-8255. This is your opportunity to talk about the Tigers as they win last night 75-70 over UTSA. They clinch at least a tie for the American Conference regular season title, and they clinch the number 1 seed for the American Conference tournament, which will take place next week at Dickies Arena in Fort Worth, Texas. 360-8255. We begin with our buddy Tony. Hey, Tony.
Good morning. How you guys doing?
Good morning.
I want to congratulate the Tigers for winning the regular season. You know, it's been a journey. It hasn't happened in a while, like you guys said. What I'm surprised about is some of the things that I read online, like the Tigers were point shaving or this and that. After they beat Birmingham, people were complaining about the black jerseys. You got a pretty good basketball team over there. And I think sometimes some of the fans think that the opponent is just supposed to roll over and not compete.
Mm-hmm.
And that game was pretty tough. You're playing in like a high school gym. A lot of those players probably not used to. But on top of that, you had just traveled from Birmingham straight to San Antonio. 1 day's rest, which, you know, could be tough in itself for a lot of young kids like that. But at any rate, they found a way to win. Wasn't the best looking win, but you got it done. You did what you had to do. to get a share. Now, I'm going to say this. I think the Tigers will win Friday. But I was looking at that schedule for North Texas. They had a tough game coming up, I think, next Sunday against Temple. Temple don't lose at home. I don't think they've lost one game at home this year. And so I think in itself, that's going to be a tough game for them.
Yeah, it won't matter, though. If Memphis wins Friday, that's it. It's over.
Yeah, it is over. It is. Now, that is so true. So, like I said, I thought the Tigers did a really good job on the boards last night. They hit their free throws. They just didn't take care of the ball well. But if I'm not mistaken, UTSA was one of the best teams at turning people over, right?
Yes. It's still no excuse, but I understand what you're saying, Tony. 22 is a lot of turnovers, and that they're going to have to tighten that up.
They got, and trust me, they probably would. But let's say this. I think they're human. I mean, sometimes you're a little nervous.
Yeah.
And it showed down at the stretch of the game. You want something so bad, you know you're better than the team because at one point they had ran it up to, 13 points? But, I mean, like I said, you just started making little dumb errors or either taking 3-point shots early in the clock when all you had to do was a little bit, maybe take a little air at the ball. But at the same time, they got it done.
Right.
They made it over the hill. And instead of fans trying to make some kind of conspiracy theory, celebrate.
Yeah. Thank you, Tony. Appreciate that. Yeah, BL, bottom line. What's the bottom line? By the way, I haven't heard. Did you hear anything about what he just said about point shaving?
No. By the way, Temple has lost 2 home games, but again, it doesn't matter. Who cares?
Yeah, Temple won last night on the road, I think it was, at Tulsa. But, yeah, it doesn't matter. Memphis takes care of business. They're the outright winner anyway. Yeah, I hadn't heard that about point shaving. That's the first I heard of that. Dennis is next. Hey, Dennis.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Good morning.
Hey, first, man, I know we were growing up, man. We used to play on those goals on the street. UTSA got to go get some tires, some cinder blocks, something to put on back of those goals, man, to keep them from rocking like that, man. But, all seriousness, Greg, I'm with you, man. You got to give credit. The guy had a good defensive plan, and we didn't counteract that. They were jumping us, trapping us, and instead of slowing down, they trying to attack 2 or 3 people, which kind of reminded me of David Jones. I mean, you're trying to dribble between people like they're going to disappear. But like you said, man, come on. I'm with Tony. We're not going to be negative today. First championship that he's won or that we won in this conference, man. And, Greg, like you say all the time, it's hard. I don't care, SEC, ACC, Big 12, who cares? It's hard to win in a conference on the road, man. I mean, and this is the last thing I'm going to say. I believe to win anything, you got to have talent, of course, but luck in any championship factors into a game. I don't care if it's football, basketball, baseball. At some point in the season, you have to be lucky, man. And we got lucky last night. They didn't make shots. Oh, no, so, cry the baby. I don't care. We won. So we're going to take this, come back home, finish it off Friday, man, and go Tigers go.
Thank you, Dennis. Appreciate it. Nice to have a closer, isn't it? Nice to have a guy who makes free throws down the stretch. Like P.J. Haggerty, you feel good in a close game when he's going to the free throw line that he's going to come through. Melvin is next up. Hey, Melvin.
Yeah, hey, what's going on?
Good. How are you?
Doing all right. Yeah, but I was proud of what Tony said about Temple. Like, even after Temple beat us and Madback they lost like 6 out of 7. That's what made their game a quad 3 long. They killed killing our seed. Wichita State is flirting with. It's back to a quad 2, but they like at 8-28, so they drop past 36. That'll be a quad 3, so that's what killing our resume.
Right.
And but I know people saying the negative. Like I'm glad. Okay, the expectation was to make the tournament. Show some progress. But I've been calling the last 3 games. Okay, this the end of the season. We got 1 game left out. The UAB game, we came back, we did good, but we played Rice, we played UTSA. Are we hitting on all cylinders? No, we're not. It's an issue. Like the turnover, like this the second straight game when the game started off and Tyrese Hunter had 4 turnovers last game, 4 turnovers this game. The game starts out, they do the deep pass, what they did against Mississippi State. They do it every game. They're in danger to do it. It's never been corrected. So this what penny teams do is the new players, they still turn the ball over. It's like it's not there's no consequences. He did right by putting Harris in. I hate he got hurt. They look like he's probably gonna miss the rest of the season. But they kind of hurt him far. Then they're going like Arkansas and Texas are gonna pass us. But they got quad one win. But you know what? A team like North Carolina, who's on the floor, who's not in, they won by 30. They move up 4 spots. So we always, I say stuff about the net, but we don't help ourselves. Like, it should have been a 20-point win, and you move up 3 or 4 spots. So you're not going to get a 5 seed or 6 seed because we don't do our part. But like I said, we did good. Everybody should show up for the Friday game, and we take it from there. So good win, one championship. But Greg, one more thing: how are we not an outright champion already? We beat North Texas. Did they change the rules or something?
Well, no, but if you tie for the conference championship, you are co-champions. The tiebreaker just applies to determine who the number 1 seed is for the tournament.
Exactly.
If you tie at the top of the conference in any conference, you are co-champions of that conference.
And if Memphis lost and North Texas won, they would end up having the same record. Even though Memphis has the tiebreak, like Eli said, that's why they've already clinched the number 1 seed. They would technically be co-champions.
And they have clinched a championship. Like both teams would hang banners or whatever. Like I said, they have clinched a championship of the conference.
But
they
now
just
they're
might
trying
have
to win it
to
outright.
share that championship.
Oh, okay. That's why the SEC flipped the coin, which is ridiculous. So, okay, I get it.
Yeah, they didn't have a tiebreaker
thanks,
to
Melvin.
determine who would be the number 1 seed, so they flipped the coin to determine that. But they are both conference champions of the regular season.
Yeah, there will be no coin flipping in this scenario. Because he said a lot of things. I wanted to reply to one of them. I forget what it was. I mean, he made some good points. Certainly, they're not clicking on all cylinders, but they have the ability to turn it up. It's interesting with Memphis when they want to turn it up. Theirs goes to 11. It's like the old movie reference. Theirs goes to 11. Others goes to 10. They could ramp that thing up to 11. And Spinal Tap is the movie. But a lot of times they don't play it at 11. They play at 8 or they play at 7. Now, there's the old saying about, and Penny had brought this up earlier in the year, you can play fast but not be in a hurry. So a lot of times they're in a hurry. They want to play up and down. That's transition basketball. That's their game. They're not slow it down, let's play half court, let's use the entire shot clock. They want to score buckets in transition. They want to beat their opponents down the court. But you can play fast and not be in a hurry. So that means there's more dependency on these guards to make the right decision. And Haggerty's only a sophomore. He's more of a scoring guard. He's going to turn the ball over from here and there. The one that it bothers me when Hunter makes the turnovers. Hunter's an experienced veteran point guard. And at times, he does have to slow it down a little bit, just a little bit. I always get asked about Memphis and why are they always in a rush? Are they always in a hurry? Because, again, that's their style, but you don't want to make it frantic. Now, when they are clicking, they're pressing, they're getting a bucket. You're usually getting a break, a 2-on-1, a 3-on-2. Then they're pressing, they get a turnover. All of a sudden, is a 10-2 run. They're capable of doing that at any time, but you just don't want to hand teams possessions. And that's what you're doing when you turn the ball over 22 times. Not only do you get points off turnovers, but you also limit the amount of shots you get for your offense. 22 possessions that turn into turnovers, that's 22 times that you don't get a shot off. That's a problem when you play better teams. That's what kills you in the net. Like that's the efficiency numbers. I mean, the Tigers are, I think, 70th now in offensive efficiency. Those are the things that hurt you in the net. Right, but the net hasn't been around for long. And when you go back in time, if this was just the RPI system, where would Memphis be? Memphis would probably be because they 25 to 30. But the net uses the efficiency numbers. Right, I understand. I understand. Therefore, that's like turnovers, things like that. I mean, their offensive people, got people texting in about records of various teams against just look at the efficiency numbers. Those teams have better efficiency numbers, at least in one of the two categories. Some of them are elite in one and maybe not as good in the other or whatever. But the efficiency numbers, if you look at the thing and see the records are terrible in quad one or whatever, but they're ahead of Memphis, just look at the efficiency numbers. And I don't know what exact efficiency number, how they get there. I don't know, because Ken Palm has his. I don't know. They're going to be pretty similar, obviously, but Ken Palm waits for
tempo and stuff like that, but I don't know which ones the NCAA uses for net. But just look at the efficiency numbers. That's why those teams are ahead of Memphis or whatever.
All right. So for whatever reason, if this morning you're not feeling well, something happened. I'm not talking about, obviously, the Tigers won. If you're a fan of the Tigers, you're feeling pretty good. But you're not feeling so well this morning. You got the Wednesday blues. Here's the guy to really put a smile on your face and to turn that frown upside down. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Carlos. Good morning, Carlos.
Good morning, Greg and Eli. Good morning, Tiger Nation. Yeah, we had to scrap it out. I tell you, that UTEP team, they were throwing up all type of threes. They were playing real desperate, but you guess what happened, though? Tigers, they came out with the W. It's all about the W. 75-70. I call to celebrate the conference regular season AAC title champions, the Tigers. We did it, guys. We did it. You know, a lot of crazy stuff happened in San Antonio over the years, but know what? Last night, guess what happened? We became the regular season AAC champs. So, yeah, everybody want to talk about, they had a lot of turnovers. They did this, they did that. But you know what? They came together as a team. The coaching staff, they did it again. They had a good plan. They knew those guys were going to be scrappy. They had nothing to lose. It was their Super Bowl. And you know what? It was our Super Bowl, too, because we became champions. So, Tiger Nation, Friday, everybody come out there to the Faraday Farm. It's senior night. We got a chance to do something special. We going to do it, guys. Eli, Greg, I want to meet y'all one day because I want to say, hey, go Tigers, go. And like I always say, Tigers, Tigers.
Thank you, Carlos. A one-man hype machine for the University of Memphis. If that doesn't put a smile on your face, I don't know what does. We'll take a quick timeout. Come back with more. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
A nickel for every time somebody has recognized me as the spokesperson for Central Barbecue.
One of the spokespersons.
One of the spokespeople. I wouldn't have a nickel because we do these for the radio. But I'm proud to be the spokesperson for Central Barbecue.
One of the...
You know what I mean? I'm proud because all of us who do this have had to do ads for things we didn't necessarily believe in.
Yeah, I know I have.
I know you have too.
Hey.
But we get to tell everyone about Central Barbecue, the best barbecue in Memphis.
In the world.
They're taking care of beerness in Memphis right on the river with Grind City Brewing and all of their great products. Look, this was a dream come true for a father and son duo. And if you have not been to that brewery right on the river, just to the north of downtown, you're really missing something special. And now you can't miss their products. Wherever you go, you see a brand new label. It's clean, it's beautiful, it's distinctive. You'll know Grind City Brewing, and of course you know their products like Poppy's Pills, that great Pilsner, or Tiger Tail, that very creative craft malt liquor. There's the new Thaddeus Amber Lager. That is absolutely a great light beer. There's the India Pale called God Hopper. It's outstanding. And then there's the Belga, the Belgian-style wheat ale. They keep bringing hits at Grind City Brewing.
Hi, this is Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. I have been told that my ads are all business and I should share some of my personality. Okay, I love tongue twisters, like the one about the terrific tasting toast by Taste Tester Toaster, or Big Black Bugs, Bleed Blue Blood, and of course Sally and her seashells. Or of course the ever-present I'm a Mother Pheasant Plucker, I plug Mother Pheasants. Okay, enough of that. If you want an honest, fair, reasonable roofing, siding, or gutter estimate, call Fiveash Roofing at 367-0050. That's exactly what you'll get. No empty promises, no high-pressure sales tactics, and no fast-talking salesman trying to convince you that today and only today is the best day for you to get a new roof. For the record, the best day to get a new roof is when you're ready for one. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings. Good morning on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Some text here on the Sissy's Log Cabin listener line. One texter asked how long Dick Vidal has been calling the show. It's Carlos Vidal. He's got a lot of energy. God bless him. Good for him.
Hey, nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with Dickie V. Nothing wrong with Carlos.
Paul says, Danger needs to learn to give the ball up after a rebound. Quit thinking he's a point guard because he turns it over almost every time.
Yeah, I don't like him taking it out. Sometimes he's forced to when the other guys are defended. But, yes, I'd rather him give it to the point guards or the guards. But then again, the guards yesterday had 12 turnovers combined, the starting 3 in the backcourt.
Raider Corey says, okay, let's be honest. The conference stinks. We get it. But 25 wins and the non-conference opponents they've played was impressive. So next year, why do it if the seeding isn't indicative of the entire resume? It means nothing.
Food for thought right there. Now, Penny's always going to play a formidable schedule because he believes that it puts him in a position to get into the tournament as an at-large. And that's the thing. If they lose next week, they're getting in. You don't play those teams, you're not getting in. But also, you want to play some of the best so you know where you are, what you have to do to fix problems. You gauge how good you may be. Playing North Carolina and playing Alabama in the preseason, those 2 exhibition games, that helps so much going into that Maui Invitational. And I think that will continue too. So yes, he's not going to take away any of those big time non-conference opponents. He's going to just add if he can. But I understand Corey's point of view.
Well, yeah, I mean, the bottom line is it's about, if you didn't have those non-conference wins, you wouldn't be at-large quality. There's a lot of teams that have racked up a bunch of wins that aren't going to get in at-large because they don't have any quality wins. You have to have some quality wins to be able to at least be able to get in case something happens in your conference tournament. I mean, you look around all these mid-major conferences, there's teams with great gaudy records. They aren't even considered for the NCAA tournament as an at-large.
Well, again, if Memphis played, and I don't know if they would, let's say Memphis was in the SEC, I don't know if you play that formidable of a non-conference schedule, but let's just say you did. You did all that damage in a good way. You go into the SEC this year, Memphis is 2-2 in 4 games against SEC opponents. So if you're around 500 in the SEC and had those big wins non-conference, you're a pretty high seed. They probably could go, 3 games under 500 in the SEC, 4 games under 500 the way it's gone this year and get in as an at-large. But they're not in that conference. Not much you could do.
Yeah. I mean, there's no quality opponents in their conference. So to get quality opponents and earn, to be able to earn at-large bids, you need to be able to show that you can beat tournament-level teams. They don't get that opportunity in their conference to beat any tournament-level teams. So they have to do all of that in the non-conference. That's how you're going to earn at-large bids. Show that you are a tournament-quality team.
And they did, which puts themselves in the position, again, if they would mess up next week and lose, they're in. They're in the NCAA tournament. So they help themselves by playing those type of teams. Now, what happens is that it seems like they're forgotten. Those early season wins are forgotten. Now it's all about what you do in the conference. And even though you're probably going to go 16-2, well, they may be put on the back burner a little bit. But still in the conference, you win Friday, which you're going to. You'll be 16-2. Nothing to sneeze at.
Somebody says Tigers are number 5 in the RPI.
Number 5. Is that even used? RPI?
It is not. No, not by the committee. It's not one of their.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
They replaced that with the net, as far as the committee is concerned, on their sheet or whatever that they get with all the different things. That is not. I'm pretty sure. Jerry could confirm that, but I'm pretty sure RPI is no longer part of the team sheets that they get as far as that is concerned. I think that is all of the text we have on the Tigers here.
Well, last night in the SEC, it's never a dull moment. Tonight, by the way, Ole Miss and Tennessee from the Pavilion, 7:30 pregame. We'll have it for you on Sports 56, 98.5 FM. That'll be an interesting game, to say the least. But last night, the number 1 team in the nation, Auburn, Knocked off in College Station by Texas A&M, 83-72. Just when you thought A&M was fading, and they were. They step up and they beat a team that, to me, along with Duke, were the clear-cut best teams in the nation. Clear-cut. They lose by 11. They dominated. Texas A&M gets the win, so I don't know. I throw up my arms. I don't know. I did not see that one coming.
Well, I mean, it's a desperate A&M team, but it's also, we are seeing that there is a clear team, a type of team that Auburn wants no part of in the NCAA tournament. Look at their 3 losses: Duke, Florida, Texas A&M. Big, physical teams. That's what Auburn doesn't want to see in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, as good as Broom is, he's not a real physical player. He blocks shots. He's an athletic as hell player. He's not a big bruiser, right? He's big, but he's not a big bruiser.
Florida and A&M are, they both, they use their side. They just rebound the hell out of the basketball. It's what A&M did last night again. Auburn outshot them from the field, outshot them from 3, and outshot them at the free throw line and lost the game because Texas A&M got 24 offensive rebounds, which, again, basically A&M's offense is shoot the basketball so we can go rebound it. And that's what they do. And so they got a bunch more possession. So despite shooting a lower percentage from the field, from the three-point line, and the free throw line, they still won the game because I think they got like 15 more field goal attempts because of their offensive rebounding.
Right, and overall rebounding, they out-rebounded them by 16. You'll have Wade Taylor, so you have a veteran leader who was 3 of 7 from 3, just 5 of 15 from the field, and 16 points. But he is your leader out there, no question about it. So, yeah, that was a great win for Buzz Williams' team. And then, as we alluded to earlier, Mississippi State, who I can't figure out, loses in overtime to Texas, 87-82. Once they tied that game up, I thought it was over. They're at home. They're at the hump. They're winning that game. Give credit to Texas. Texas ain't getting in the NCAA tournament, I don't believe, but they're, I guess, still in the bubble.
Well, they're very much in the bubble. They might be on the good side of the bubble now. I mean, that's a huge win for them. They're going to be, they still need to do more work. Can't.
They're 6-11 in the conference.
They've got Oklahoma coming up Saturday at home. Certainly need to win that. They can't afford a home loss, but then go to the SEC tournament and give themselves an opportunity. Get obviously again plenty of quality win opportunities at the SEC tournament, which seeding wise has gotten even more bunched up. But Texas probably will play on the first night and get a win. So that one won't be a great win by any means. That second game might be the game that kind of just ends up deciding their fate. If they can get a second win at the conference tournament, might be enough to get them in. If they don't, might be what leaves them out. But huge win to get that on the road last night.
Yeah, it was a huge win, and they have opportunities. But right now, today, they wouldn't be in the tournament. They're 6-11 in the conference. They've lost 6 of their last 10. They always say how important it is to be winning your last 10 games,
But
all
they
that
don't,
jazz.
They don't consider the last 10 anymore. That's not a thing on the sheet at all. They don't care when the games are played.
Okay. These guys aren't robots. They're human beings behind closed doors that make these decisions. Texas right now, to me.
But they're looking at a sheet with the information. That's not on there.
Texas,
You're the one that says they don't look back. They don't do all this. Why would they be looking at the last 10 if it's not on the sheet to look at?
Well, I mean, it's because it's recent memory. What teams read? Like you're gonna, if you had a selection committee go into a room this Friday and they sat around and talked, what would be fresh in their minds? That Auburn just lost to Texas A&M, which probably would put Duke in front of that. I mean, we're human beings, man. This stuff comes into play. But Texas, right now, Texas would be out. But that's a win that at least gets them an opportunity to get in. Because, again, right now, today, they're not going in at 6-11. If they're going in at 6-11, there's a problem. Not only are they 6-11 in the conference, 5 games under 500, I've watched them play several times. They are not. I didn't watch the game at all last night, but when I've seen them, not good. They're not good, but they have a chance. And that's all you got to have in the SEC is an opportunity in the tournament to do some damage. We got some more games to talk about from last night, including Arkansas's big win in Nashville. Then we'll get into the NBA, the latest with the injury report for the Grizzlies, who will host Oklahoma City. Jerry Palm at 8:25. Wake Up the Kids, his latest bracketology. Where does he have Memphis? Where does he have Ole Miss? DeMichael Cole at 9:05 on the Grizzlies and Parthu Pajai on the Tigers at 9:25. He's written a story about the American Conference postseason awards, who he would give the awards to. That'll be announced next week down in Fort Worth.
Lunardi had Texas as first four out going into last night.
First four out.
So I'm guessing with a win on the road at Mississippi State, I haven't seen, I don't know if he's updated on Twitter or not, but good chance they're in.
Good chance they're in, but I wonder who he would drop out to replace them. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Everyone needs protection, whether you're on the field or on the road, so make sure you have the best. Bob Simpson State Farm Insurance can buckle you up with auto insurance, can back you up with life and health insurance, cover your business whether it's starting, growing, or maturing, and don't forget to insure your home, no matter if you're an owner or a renter. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call Bob Simpson today at 901-381-1233 or go online and get a free quote at bobsimpson.org. Stay protected with your good neighbor, Bob Simpson.
There's an institution in East Memphis that I love talking about. It's the Spirit Shop at 4848 Poplar Avenue, right down the street from Clark Tower, and it looks like a log cabin. It's been around Memphis since 1969 with a family-owned, friendly, knowledgeable sales staff that is just a wonderful place to go. I love going in and talking wine or bourbons, and they've got such great selection. So if you've not visited the Spirit Shop in a while, it's been remodeled. You'll love what you see when you need spirits. Tell Eddie Wallow said hello.
Owning your own home is wonderful, and buying your own home can be wonderfully easy if your agent is Margie O'Neill of Remax Expert. Margie has over 20 years of experience in helping folks just like you find their new home. Buyers markets, sellers markets, up and down markets. Margie has sold them all with a dedication that makes it easy for you to buy your new home. Margie O'Neill at Remax.net. MARGIE.ONEAL at Remax.net. Or call 901-685-6000 for your new home. Margie O'Neill makes it easy. This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. A steady flow of traffic coming in from Fayette County into Shelby County on 40 going westbound all the way down to Sycamore View Road. However, it has gotten heavier on 51 southbound coming in from Millington. Watching it build pretty good on 55 coming up from the south, going north 55 up through South Haven. If your lawn needs help, don't worry. Lawn Solutions is here in the area to help you with over 30 years experience. Call Lawn Solutions today, 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253DF Memphis with John Harden. Weekdays from 11 to 1. Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:03 the time. Hour number 2 here on Sports 56 Mornings. The Wednesday, March 5th, 2025 edition. Greg Gaston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers. We are broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios. Their first ever preseason pool, spa, and patio event is going on right now. Family Leisure, 2120 Witten Road, just north of I-40. Temperatures dropped a few degrees since I gave you the report in hour 1. 43 currently, and the wind factor is certainly a big problem right now with gusts occasionally over 40 miles per hour. We're only looking at a high today of 47. Could still get a passing shower this morning, and then things will clear up a bit in the afternoon, although, again, there's always that chance, but a lower chance of precip later today. 32 degrees tonight. The rain is out of the area, mostly clear skies, and then tomorrow for your Thursday, more sun than clouds, high of 56, and a low of 44 degrees. Hour 2 of the program is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Again, you're looking for a beautiful watch or ring, necklace, bracelet, pendant, whatever the case may be. They have it for you at James Gaddis Jewelers. You're looking for vintage, antique jewelry, one-of-a-kind jewelry. James Gaddis Jewelers is the place for you. You're looking for that beautiful engagement ring, wedding rings of all types, personally designed wedding sets. James Gaddis Jewelers is the place for you. You need something appraised? James is a certified appraiser. Bring it to James Gaddis Jewelers. You need a cleaning or resetting of your stone, refitting, look, your finger shrinks and gets bigger. You put on weight. You need adjustments. They can do that for you too. They're full-service jewelers. Why go anywhere else? James Gaddis Jewelers has been a part of the Memphis fabric for 6 decades. They started at Summer Avenue. They're now on Poplar Avenue, and they've been there over 3 decades. 4900 Poplar. Go visit them. Tell James you heard it here on Sports 56 Mornings. They're open Monday through Friday, 10 to 5, Saturday, 10 to 4. Closed on Sunday. The great folks at James Gaddis Jewelers, second-hour sponsor of Sports 56 Mornings. Okay, so we mentioned the Auburn loss to Texas A&M and the Mississippi State loss to Texas. Just another day in the crazy SEC. Kentucky beat LSU, and I figured that they were going to take it out on LSU after what had happened to them recently. They've lost some key players. 95-64. That was at Rupp. South Carolina lost at home to Georgia. So Georgia now at 19-11 after the 73-64 win. So they're in pretty good shape. And then Arkansas, I just had a feeling, but I couldn't play them last night. I just couldn't pull the trigger because of what I say with Vanderbilt. They always seem to play well at home. And this time around, Arkansas gets them by 13.
Yeah, huge win for Arkansas. Again, one of the very bubbly teams in the SEC. Right now, by most, I think, are on the right side of the bubble, but teetering in that last 4 in type area, Dayton type stuff. For the most part, going into last night, but getting a good win against a tournament team. Razorback Juan, our buddy, texts in, says, we finally got the old Trevon Brazile last night as a beast offensively, defensively, and with 3 poster dunks. Nelly Davis and Juan Wagner offset each other with good first, bad second, and vice versa. Adu isn't a stat sheet filler, but does provide a lot of intangibles. Without Thiero, who we need back sooner than later, we played with our backs against the wall mentality. Just need consistency.
Yeah, waiting for that kind of Brazile to step up. I mean, that's a guy expected to be All-American-esque this year, and he has not. He's been inconsistent.
It's really been the entire team. I mean, you can say that.
Well, sure.
You go down
Right.
their roster and pretty much say that about everybody. As he said, half to half or game to game. I mean, again, Wagner has been way better now than he was early in the year. Certainly.
How much PT is Richmond getting?
Janelle Davis is, early in the year couldn't make any shots. Has started to score and make some shots. So it's they're especially on the offense. Again, it's a team that just scored 14 points in a half of basketball a few days ago. And then comes back last night and puts up over 40 in each half. They are a very inconsistent team, and that's what's gotten them on the bubble, despite the talent that they have on that roster.
Yeah, I still can't believe what happened the other night at South Carolina. Is Billy Richmond getting much run?
He gets a few minutes. He doesn't get a ton of minutes, but he gets a few minutes.
I wonder if he'll be on the move after the season. From the national picture last night, there was some games of interest, certainly in the Big 12, with the BYU-Iowa State game going to double overtime before BYU won in Ames. Not an easy thing to do, 88-85.
Yeah, that was a crazy game. And great win for BYU, who's been playing extremely well. That's a really good BYU team. I saw them early in the year when Ole Miss beat them out in San Diego. But they have now run off 7 straight wins, including wins over Kansas, Arizona, and Iowa State. 2 of those on the road, at Arizona, at Iowa State. So that is a team that's playing extremely well right now and continues to move up the seed line seemingly on a daily basis.
Yeah, it's still hard to believe they're 4th in the Big 12. They seem to be outside of Houston, the best team, at least playing the best. But they're certainly going to be a formidable team for anybody to face in the NCAA tournament. You also had a late game last night in the Big 12, Arizona over Arizona State, 113-100. Tonight, college basketball, some big matchups. Florida and Alabama in Tuscaloosa. Number 5 versus number 7.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a great game. Should be a great game. Should be a lot of points scored in that game. Alabama coming off the heartbreaking loss at Tennessee, trying to bounce back at home and keep themselves right there in the mix for a 1 seed. Florida obviously trying to keep itself in the mix for a 1 seed. It's going to be with that and the Tennessee Ole Miss game. Some big time games tonight. What I've been told, the Tennessee Ole Miss ticket is like the hardest Ole Miss basketball ticket to get, possibly like in history. Like there are you can't find tickets from anyone anywhere for tonight's game down in the Pavilion.
How many Tennessee fans do you think will end up there?
Oh, I'm sure there will be a lot. There usually is, but yeah, I've heard that this is it's going to be a raucous atmosphere, and you just can't. Nobody's wanting to give up tickets for this one.
You talk about styles in this game. Tennessee, by the way, a 2.5-point road favorite at the Pavilion. Total for this game from the odds makers, 137.5. Okay, you understand that because Tennessee is such a good defensive team. Ole Miss not bad. Guess what the Florida-Alabama number is, unless you've seen it already. You know it's going to be high.
I haven't seen it, but I'm sure in the 170s.
Yes? Give me a specific. Let me see if you can nail it. You're pretty good at this stuff.
Probably, I don't know, I'd say 176.
Close, 178.5. There's just no way I can go over. You would hope for overtime, and you would definitely go over. But, man, 178.5 for Florida and Alabama. So you mentioned Tennessee and Ole Miss. Also tonight, number 15, Missouri at Oklahoma. Missouri is a 4.5-point favorite. Around the nation, Maryland and Michigan. Maryland at Michigan. Maryland 13. Michigan number 17 in the poll this week. Michigan a 1.5-point favorite. Clemson goes to BC, where they're a 14.5-point favorite. In the Big 12, number 9, Texas Tech hosts Colorado. Texas Tech, a whopping 17.5-point favorite. Number 12, Wisconsin at Minnesota. Wisconsin is a 7.5-point favorite. Marquette at UConn. Big opportunity for UConn, the two-time defending champions. They're a 3.5-point favorite, which surprises me a little bit. But UConn trying to push themselves up higher on the seed line. Again, they have 9 losses this year, but Connecticut's going to get the benefit of the doubt. Again, taking on Marquette. And then Louisville, number 14 in the nation, going up against Cal. And, yeah, in that the historic ACC battle, Louisville and Cal. I mean, the history is unbelievable. Louisville, 14.5-point favorite in that one.
Florida and Alabama, by the way, they've not played this year, but they played 3 times last year. 98-93, 105-87, and 102-88.
Oh, my gosh.
So
everyone would be over.
Yeah.
That number. Food for thought. All right, so big night in college basketball. Another big night in the National Basketball Association, including the Grizzlies, trying to get well. Unfortunately, they're playing the Oklahoma City Thunder, the number 1 team in the West. Are they number 1 now in the NBA overall in record? I got to look that up. No, Elijah.
Cleveland.
It's still Cleveland? So I'm trying to get the number for this game tonight. The Thunder are a 9.5-point favorite. 9.5-point favorite against the Grizzlies, who will more than likely be without Jaren Jackson Jr. It's not official, but he was diagnosed yesterday with a grade 2 sprain of his left ankle, considered week to week. The thought is that if history serves everyone correctly, a grade 2 ankle sprain in the past for Grizzlies players have cost those players on average 3 weeks of missing games. Certainly not good. John Morant, questionable with the shoulder. Whether or not he plays, we'll find out later today. Santi with the calf, again, questionable. Even John Conchar somehow is on the injury list. with a right knee soreness, and he is questionable for tonight. But the Grizzlies and the Thunder, the only thing that gives Grizzlies any hope is if Oklahoma City decides to start resting players. Like, will we get to that point where Oklahoma City starts resting guys with the big lead they have in the West? Is it possible? I haven't seen an injury list with Oklahoma City that Shai Gilgeous-Alexander misses or
I would assume
anybody else.
I would guess they're trying to get the best record overall in the NBA. They want to get home court advantage in a possible NBA Finals with Cleveland. So I don't know that they will, if that gets out of reach or if they can get in front and secure that, then at the very end of the season, certainly they might start resting players. But right now, I would guess they're playing guys and battling, and be interesting with Jaren because luckily for him, he's been in the lineup since those first 2 games of the year. He's played 59 games to this point, so he only needs 6 more to qualify for postseason honors, such as All NBA, which can mean a whole bunch of money available in if they wanted to give him an extension this offseason. And so basically, if he's back by the 1st of April, he would still be able to get to that 65 without a problem. So even if he were to miss, say 3 weeks, even a little bit more, he still would have the ability to get to the 65 games.
See, if I was in his position in about a week and a half or so, 2 weeks, we start looking at the numbers, the days, or the games, rather. I'm telling the doctor, I'm good. I'm making sure that they realize that I can play, and I'm playing. There's no way an ankle injury a couple of weeks into it, once I've had treatment and all that, I am staying out of games and losing that possibility of being the Defensive Player of the Year, All NBA, being in that position for the Supermax.
Yes.
There's no way I'm missing those games. There's no way. I'm telling the doctor, no, I'm good. I'm ready to go. Put me in the lineup. I'm not listening to whatever the doctor says.
Well, I think
assuming he can walk.
I think he'll be back in plenty of time anyway. I would guess that
just in case.
And the team and the doctor though, but I'm sure he is going to work very hard on his rehab, everything else to make sure he's back in time. But again, I don't think it will be an issue whatsoever. I think he'll be back in plenty of time to make the 65 mark.
Yeah, I think so too. I'm just saying, just in case if it got close, I'd be like, no, I'm ready to go. You were talking about Cleveland. Right now, Cleveland at 51-10, Oklahoma City at 50-11. So it's a 1-game difference in their battle for home court advantage throughout the playoffs, even the NBA Finals, if they happen to get there. Cleveland is 23-6 away from home. Oklahoma City is 23-7. So I don't know how much of a difference it makes, how important home court advantage is with those two teams that have been so successful on the road. You would like it if you can get it, but you're not going to put yourself into a situation where guys are exhausted by the time the postseason comes just to gain that home court advantage in the NBA Finals if you get there. So they're going to do things within reason. Yes, it's still 21 games to go. So more than likely, those guys are playing tonight. But as we get closer and closer, I'll be curious to see what the Thunder do, what the Cavaliers do as far as resting players. Other teams as well that are right up there. But again, tonight, the Thunder in town to take on the Grizzlies. After tonight, and if the Grizzlies lose, that would be their first 4-game losing streak of the season. They will go into Dallas, or they're going into Dallas on Friday. Dallas got the bad news yesterday with Kyrie Irving out for the year. They're thinking about the possibility that Anthony Davis may not return at all. Nico Harrison, I believe, is sending out resumes. But Dallas is self-destructing with injuries. And so Friday night, I don't care if Ja's still out and Jaren can't play, you better go into Dallas and win that game. You still have enough firepower, you would think. But tonight, if those guys are all playing, SGA and Holmgren and Jalen Williams, man, they're loaded. They're so deep, that team, too. it should be a walk in the park, you would think. Grizzlies aren't going to back down, and who's ever available is going to play hard. But then again, it is the NBA. Sometimes you can expect the unexpected. I just can't give the nod to the Grizzlies pulling off an upset if Oklahoma City comes in there with full strength or at full strength.
Yeah, I would guess this will be an absolute blowout in all likelihood. They're just not. Oklahoma City came in here and beat up on them when the Grizzlies had their guys. Now without their guys, I think we'll see what happens with Ja and some of these other guys that are questionable, but it will be a very, very difficult task to try and hang around with Oklahoma City with those, especially if more than Jaren end up missing this one.
Also from the NBA last night, the Warriors beat the Knicks at Madison Square Garden 114-102. All the Warriors are is 9-1 in games Jimmy Butler has played in. He's missed one game. They're 9-1 since they acquired him and the games he's played in. Yeah, I would say a pretty good move for the Golden State Warriors. Also last night, the Los Angeles Lakers beat up on New Orleans 136-115. That guy that came over from Dallas in that trade, not bad. Luka Doncic was a plus 37. In comparison, LeBron a plus 7. Luka had 30 points, 15 assists, 8 rebounds, 6 of 13 from 3. Again, Nico, there are some good jobs out there outside of the NBA, and hopefully you'll be able to land one. So the teams that made the moves at the trade deadline are on absolute fire. Quick glance at the Western Conference. The Lakers in second by a half a game over the Nuggets. The Nuggets are a game up on the Grizzlies. So the Grizzlies sitting in fourth, a game and a half up on the Rockets. They are now 4.5 up on the surging Warriors, who are in sixth. And then Minnesota is the first team in the play-in at number 7 overall. They are now 5 games behind the Grizzlies. Corky's Ribs and Barbecue is always a great option for lunch and dinner. I know right now you're thinking, well, Greg, I mean breakfast. I'm thinking about breakfast. I'm going to go get breakfast. No, but later on you're going to get hungry at lunchtime, at dinner time. What to eat? Barbecue, always a great option in this part of the world, right? Corky's is a great option for you. They've been around for 40 years, serving up that delicious slow-smoked barbecue, and they have been catering that entire time. They specialize in catering. They have catered some huge events. So no matter the size, you want it catered, contact Corky's. They'll start you out as low as $7.99 per person for that delicious Q, those ribs. Love the barbecue nachos. Start off with that cheese and sausage plate. They got tamales, award-winning catfish plate. They got burgers and amazing desserts. The rolls that you get with your entree are out of this world. They got lunch specials every day. Party packs that start at just $7.49. 4 locations: Poplar Avenue in Memphis, Poplar Avenue in Collierville, Germantown Parkway in Cordova, and Goodman Road in Olive Branch. It's Corky's Ribs and Barbecue, open for lunch and dinner 7 days a week. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Join the voice of the Tigers, Dave Woloshin, for Wolo and Friends. Weekday mornings from 10 to 11 here on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
All aboard, football fans! The Memphis Showboats are back in action with more of the football you love. Join the Showboats at Simmons Bank Liberty Stadium March 30th for the opening weekend of the 2025 UFL season as the Boats take on the Michigan Panthers. Kickoff is 11 a.m. Head to UFLShowboats.com now to get your tickets and get more of the touchdown celebrating, high-fiving, bell-ringing action you love. That's UFLShowboats.com. Go Boats!
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And Vacation U forgets all your worries. Vacation U doesn't even keep track of time and knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But regular U knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because Vacation U doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation U and regular U really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your Homer Auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations.
You know, if I had a nickel for every time somebody has recognized me as the spokesperson for Central Barbecue,
One of the spokespersons.
one of the spokespeople, I wouldn't have a nickel because we do these for the radio. But I'm proud to be the spokesperson for Central Barbecue.
One of the.
You know what I mean? I'm proud because all of us who do this have had to do ads for things we didn't necessarily believe in.
I know I have.
I know you have too.
Hey.
But we get to tell everyone about Central Barbecue, the best barbecue in Memphis.
In the world. This traffic report on Sports 56 is brought to you by Palo Windows and Doors of Memphis and the Mid-South Palo Windows. The standard is affordable luxury.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's already gotten a little bit crowded right now on Summer Avenue coming inbound. It's also picking up on 51 out of Millington as that traffic volume increases across the Hernando de Soto Bridge on 40 eastbound coming over from West Memphis. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, serving the Memphis area for over 40 years, no matter what the occasion is. You'll save a lot of money by shopping local at Weimer's Jewelry on Highway 64. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers. Diamonds are forever. Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
Welcome back, everyone. 8:26 is the time, just about halfway home on this Hump Day edition of Sports 56 mornings. We've talked a lot of college basketball, but where are these teams going to end up being in the NCAA tournament? A guy who has his finger on the pulse, although he doesn't know exactly at this point, but he does have a good idea. His name is Jerry Palm.
It's time for Sports 56 Mornings Weekly Chat with Jerry Palm, college football and basketball writer and bracketologist for CBSSports.com. Here are Greg, Eli, and Jerry.
He is Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, CBSSports.com. You can follow him on Twitter at JPPalmCBS. He joins us every single Wednesday during both the college hoops and college football season. Good morning, JP.
Hey, how's it going?
Going well. Are you doing daily now?
Yes, although I haven't done today yet.
Okay.
But yeah.
That's what I thought because I saw the updated one. If you go to CBSSports.com, is March 4th at 7:50 a.m. So Jerry's an early riser like us. So he doesn't have his one out for today. What does the...
Working on it.
Okay, so what does the Auburn loss do, if anything? Just do they flip with Duke?
Yeah, no, it's nothing. In fact, they lose to Alabama. They're still the overall number one. The only reason I hesitant to say that they're a lock for the overall number one is I don't see the SEC tournament bracket, and I kind of need to know who might be in their path. But it's hard to imagine Auburn not being the overall number one.
And is that basically because the ACC is down, so a lot of those wins that Duke is getting, although they're destroying teams, is against mediocre at best in some regards, right? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, Auburn has got, it's like 15, 16 quad one wins. Just an insane number. 15 quad one wins and Duke has 6. But Duke has got 10 quad 3 wins. So, and Duke is actually ahead in some of the predictive metrics because they're blowing people out. But, I don't think there's any, Auburn's resume is going to be the best, and I don't know how it's not the best.
Do you have, and I don't know if you would even care to have this, but the overall record this year, SEC teams who have faced ACC teams, and I don't know how many.
They went 14-2 in the SEC ACC Challenge.
I actually do have that.
So in the ACC Challenge, they dominated.
So give me a minute.
Yeah, but if there's other ones as well, I mean that's an absolute demolition.
Oh yeah. Let's see. The ACC versus the SEC this year is 4-30.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! I knew it was bad, but 4-30.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that's bad.
How good historically is the SEC this year compared to other conferences? And I know this is probably just more your opinion, but I mean we've had years where the ACC was an absolute beast, but this is crazy. It's got to be near historic levels.
Yeah, well, they may end up with a record number of teams in the field. That is currently 11, which was the Big East back when they were a 16-team league, so sort of back in the day. That's been a while. And then the ACC has had like 6 out of 9, back when it was 9.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's a pretty good percentage, although I think 11 of 16 is slightly better. So they have a chance to, put maybe 75% of the league in the field, and that would certainly be a record. And then even still, I mean, there's really only 2 teams that are not in play. So they've got 14 teams fighting for what will end up probably being an 11 or 12 spot, and that's pretty remarkable.
You had Arkansas in before they got the win last night. You had them in the last 4 in. You did not have Texas in before their big win last night, but how big are those 2 wins for those 2 teams?
Yeah, I mean, well, it was, Arkansas, obviously, it's you get a little bit more cushion. Texas looked dead. I mean, they looked like they had started to pack it up and mail it in for the season, and then they go out and win last night, get that big win, and have kind of revived their hopes. I don't expect to have Texas in the bracket today. I'm still working on the bottom of the bracket. I think they'll still be out because they just don't have a great record. I mean, they're like 10-13 against the top 3 quadrants, which would be historically bad for a NCAA tournament team. But there's still work to do, I think, for Texas, regardless. And they have, they had a tough finishing schedule. They all do. All those SEC teams on the bubble. That's why they keep flittering around the cut line. But the one that's really made a move in a positive direction is Georgia. They've been playing well down the stretch of this season. So I'm not going to say they're safe. They're not. But, Georgia is in the best shape of the 4 bubble teams that are left, which include Oklahoma, Texas, and Arkansas.
Jerry Palm joining us on the Sissy's Log Cabin guest line. Okay, so your number ones, obviously there's 2 that are automatic in Auburn and Duke. I love the fact, and again, this can certainly change, but I love the fact that you have Houston and Tennessee as your ones, and you don't have Alabama there, because I know there's some people that think Alabama still deserves a number 1. They lost that Missouri.
They may yet.
What's that?
They may yet.
No, I understand, but I'm saying...
Just not now.
Yeah, they got a big one tonight with Florida. I think if Florida beats Alabama, that pretty much nails the coffin shut for Alabama to be a 1.
They still got Auburn this weekend.
Well, I understand that, but just recently, the games they lost, they gave up 110 in the loss to Missouri. To me, I think Tennessee or even Florida, if Florida wins tonight, certainly is more deserving of a 1 than Bama, even though Bama's racked up some huge wins. I understand that. But I like that you have Houston there. I think Houston... for a while there was being undersold, and I think they are deserving of a 1.
Yeah, well, and for a while, Houston hadn't played anybody. Like, their non-conference schedule wasn't terrible or anything, but it just didn't have the higher quality wins that we're used to seeing from Houston, so they had to get into league play and dominate league play, which they have, before they really were able to get up in the bracket as high as they are now. I've got them 3rd overall. They're not going to get any higher than that because of Auburn and Duke, of course, but unless Duke just tanks. But it's another dominant Big 12 season for Houston. They're really now the premier program in that league, surpassing Kansas or anybody else you like to talk about. And Kansas, of course, kind of by their standard mediocre this year, borderline top 25 team at best. And I don't know, it's not the talent, never the talent at Kansas. But, I don't think it's a coincidence that the last 2 years have been kind of sketchy and Hunter Dickinson's on the team.
Right.
The BYU got another huge win last night. They've been red hot. Where were they before they kind of started this run here?
Oh, they were all but dead. I mean, they had nothing going for them. It's amazing. We actually saw them. My wife and I took a trip to Southwest Ohio. We saw Dayton and then Cincinnati, and we saw Cincinnati play BYU, and that's the last time they lost. They look bad too. They're like the second half, they got blown out in the second half, and now they've won 7 in a row. They beat Arizona on the road. They beat Kansas. They won at West Virginia. They won at Iowa State last night. I mean, goodness, it's like it had nothing to do with us. Yeah, I didn't say anything to him.
I saw them lose early in the year. I did the Ole Miss game against them, and Ole Miss beat them out in San Diego. But it is a good team. They are. But man, yeah, to win at Arizona, at Iowa State, both in this run. Incredible.
I mean, this might be a team that they get seeded, down like around a 7 or something, and you don't want to be the 2 that's played them because of how hot they are.
You got St. John's as a 3. Can they get to a 2? They win the Big East
Yeah,
tournament?
they can. The problem with St. John's is their schedule. They really didn't do anything outside the league. So when you look at, some of the teams that they've got, I mean, they're like 19th in the net. I mean, they've got, 3 quad 1 wins, 4 quad 1 losses. So they've played only 7 quad 1 games. And you look at all of these other teams that they're competing with, they've all got that many quad 1 wins.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And it's just hard when, their non-conference strength of schedule is not horrible. It's like 168, but they just didn't get the kinds of wins outside the league that they need. Their best outside the league win is home against New Mexico, and everything else is to come in the league. And the Big East is a good league, but it's not, going to give you the kind of games that, like the SEC or the Big Ten does.
You have both Memphis and Ole Miss on the 6th line in this most recent bracket. Where are they within the 6s? Do you know?
Where are they? What
overall? Like over in your? Are they the number 1 6 or like 1 and 2? Or are they 3 and 4?
Yeah. Of course, it could still change, but and I haven't finished it for today yet. But in that bracket, I had Memphis 22 and Mississippi 23.
So that's right in the middle of because Mississippi State, who you have as a 5, obviously lost the game at home last night. I'm wondering how close one of those two might be to moving up into a 5. But again, obviously there's other stuff going on.
Yeah, right. And there's a lot. Yeah, there's a lot at play, and I just haven't gotten into that part of it yet. And of course, there's a week and a half to go.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Indiana lost again last night.
Mm-hmm.
You have them in the field. How solidly are they in the field?
Mm-hmm. They're not solidly
I didn't
in.
think so.
They're clearly still a bubble team, but that loss, especially considering how the teams around them played last night, that loss isn't really damaging. That Oregon's a good team. It's a road game. It didn't really hurt them that much. They're not falling out of the bracket today, for example. But there's still time. Indiana's been hit and miss. But the thing about them is that it seems like, Mike Woodson being let go has inspired them a little bit. Because the thing about Indiana has always been, consistency of effort. And just bringing the intensity that's required to win in the Big Ten every night. And it seems like lately, even last night, even though they lost, they weren't dogging it. They weren't. I don't say dogging it. It's not that bad, but there's a difference between going really hard and just going, and they sometimes just go. But since they decided to change coaches, the team has started to bring the intensity that they need if they're going to make the NCAA tournament in pretty much every game. So. And I thought last night they played well. I mean, it's just, you're Oregon and that's a good team. So if Indiana can continue to play the way they have been, they'll make the NCAA tournament. But, it only takes one or two, bad efforts, stupid losses to get them out.
Oregon has made a nice recovery. They had that terrible stretch there where they lost 6 out of 7, and now they've run off 6 straight wins here to kind of get themselves back. How low did they get in your seeding? Do you remember when they were going through that?
Yeah, I had them in the middle of the bracket, like in an 8-9 game. And now they're back in the top 25 of it. Yeah, that was too good a team to go through the funk that they were in. And, part of it is, those teams, their road trips are ridiculous in the Big Ten now.
Yep.
All those West Coast teams.
Yeah.
They come out, they play 2 games, but, each of the Eastern block of the Big Ten takes 1 road trip a year to the Pacific time zone. And they play 2 games, and then they come back, and they never go back. Well, these guys are going, like every other week to, 2 or 3 time zones away. And it's a bit of a grind. And Mick Cronin, I know, has complained about it, but, that was always going to be the case.
Yep.
And for Oregon, UCLA, they have both at times suffered, I think, for just the grind that they go through playing in this league.
You got Indiana too, by the way. Indiana, that last game, they got Ohio State, which that is a very bubbly game coming up Saturday.
Is, yeah. I mean, Ohio State just got back to 4 games above 500 last night, and it took 2 overtimes to beat Nebraska at home. So, and Nebraska is in trouble too. So it's the Big Ten is getting kind of bubbly all of a sudden with Ohio State, Indiana, Nebraska in that neighborhood.
Yeah, that was about as big a bubbly game as you can get last night, and it was exciting.
Yep.
Double overtime.
It's funny. I had 10 bubble games last night, and all of those games had the bubble team on the road. And the only one that didn't was Ohio State because they were hosting another bubble. So it was a double bubble game. So somebody had beat them. All of the others were on the road, and 7 of them won.
Wow. Who's your first, obviously, this is not updated today, but from yesterday, who's your first 4 out?
Out were
Nebraska, North Carolina, Ohio State, Cincinnati.
Thank you. Yeah.
Ohio State.
They're not in the same order now.
North Carolina, and who was the other one, Eli?
Cincinnati.
North Carolina, I think, is starting to really get going here. So
who can tell? They're playing ACC teams, and they're playing bad ACC teams.
Yeah, but
we're not going to know anything. And you got to give Carolina credit; they're winning these games, which they had to do.
Mm-hmm.
But their league is, that league is terrible. It's Duke, is elite, and Clemson and Louisville are borderline top 25 teams, and the rest of the league is, mediocre.
Is Wake Forest dead yet? Please tell me Wake Forest is dead.
Yeah, they're pretty much dead now. I mean, it's weird because they had a 4-game stretch that ended not with the game last night, but not with the Duke game, but the ones before, where they had 3 really winnable games, and they had a road game at SMU. And if you look at that, you think, well, you win the ones you're supposed to, and you see if you can get SMU, and you're in pretty good shape. Well, they got SMU and lost the 3 crappy games. And it's, that's 3 quad 3 losses. That's how bad that league is. North Carolina beat Miami the other day. That's a quad 4 win in a major conference. Carolina's winning. They look better, but they look better because they're playing, the dregs of the ACC. And the dregs of the ACC are really dregs this year.
We know what led to the demise of the ACC. Maryland leaving to go to the Big Ten. Just ruined the ACC. Right?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, that's it. Everybody knows that. Speaking of Maryland, Michigan State tonight. You got Michigan State on the 2 line. A Maryland win in East Lansing, would that knock Michigan State down, you think?
It could. I'd have to look and see what the other teams are doing. I mean, that Maryland is not a bad loss. It is, I guess, relatively speaking,
but a
at home.
Loss, yeah.
Yeah, a home loss. Yeah, but Maryland's a pretty good team. It would be a big win for them. Give them some juice up the bracket. That's one of those teams that's got predictive metrics that are better than their resume. Not like Gonzaga, but because that's an extreme case. But it's I've had trouble getting Maryland out of the borderline top 25 part of the bracket.
Let me correct myself. They're playing Michigan tonight. They're not playing Michigan State. My bad.
Well, okay, but that's a good team too. It's not. Michigan State's the top of the Big Ten right now. They've got a shot at a 1, outside shot at a 1. They'd have to win all the way out, but Michigan's a pretty good team.
Yeah,
so if that game's in Ann Arbor, that's still a tough game, and because they got those 2 big guys, and they're hard to fight with.
Last thing for you. Last week we talked a lot about the Mountain West, and you were talking about could have 2, could have 4. Utah State went out and got clobbered their last 2 games. Absolutely mashed their last 2 games. What does that mean now for the Mountain West?
Well, I mean, what it means is it's 2 losses. It doesn't really matter that they got mashed.
Okay.
Other than other than you wonder about them, but the committee looked at it as they lost. They don't look at it as they got creamed.
I thought that mattered though. If you got creamed now with the net,
it only matters. No, scoring margin only matters in the sense that the net is one of those metrics that's heavily influenced by it.
Right.
But when they're looking at resumes, they're not looking at scores. Really, I mean, they're not looking at how badly you win. That's not criteria specifically, other than it's built into some of the metrics that they actually look at.
Well, that's the problem. The metrics that have that built
Yeah,
in.
but they don't. But all of the metrics, it's not all of the metrics that have them. They've got like a balance. It's about half and half margin of victory ones versus not.
No, I understand. But
and they seem to be pretty enamored with the new wins above bubble, which they call WAB, which is a metric that is not influenced by scoring margin.
And what does that mean? Wins above bubble. What are we talking about
So
there?
basically, it's how many wins a given team would have against the same schedule that the basically the bubble team in the metrics, which is based on the net, of course. So the bubble team is usually around 45. I'm not sure it's the same in every run, but around the 45th ranked team. So it's like, how would you do? How many wins would you get against the same schedule the number 45 team is playing?
Go ahead.
So that's
it's that. I thought it was what the average bubble team would do against your schedule. How much better?
No, it's the other way around.
Okay, I have that backwards. So it's based on the bubble team's schedule, not your schedule.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
So next year they're going to have, instead of a committee led by Chair Bubba Cunningham, they're going to have all NASA people working it. Because this is NASA.
NASA.
People from NASA, for goodness sakes. People from MIT.
They just announced the new chair yesterday. I was pretty sure he wasn't from NASA.
Yeah, well, they should, because this is too freaking complicated. There's too much.
Okay, they don't have to do the math.
Yeah.
I know they don't have to do the math, but then even taking common sense, eyesight, resume, wins and losses, everything, and then looking at the metric part of things, it's a lot of stuff. By the way, is the RPI
This
even
is why I
used
need
anymore?
to be on the committee.
You need to be on the committee. I need to be on the committee, man. I'd stir things up. RPI, is that still in existence or not?
No. It might still be in existence.
Yes, but it's not used. Right?
It wasn't like the formula was banned from existence, but nobody's using it.
I didn't mean that. I meant it's used.
They dropped bombs on the computers it's done.
We know it's used because we had somebody text in and said Memphis is 5 in the RPI, but it's not. We know they have it. We know it's not used though as part of the criteria for the selection committee. But yeah, there is a big difference between the metrics and the resume, the RPI and the net, if you will, with Memphis.
So,
Memphis is going to be one of those teams.
Thing is, Gonzaga is the exact opposite. Like Gonzaga's predictive metrics, they're around 10, and their resume-based metrics that don't consider scoring margin, they're in the mid-40s.
Yeah,
and Memphis is like the opposite, except their resume-based metrics are more like in the high teens. But it's really just remarkable. I hardly ever see disparities like that and have two teams in the same year. But I've got Gonzaga in an 8-9 game because if you look at their best wins, Baylor, San Diego State, Indiana, those teams could all miss the tournament.
Right.
So,
you use common sense and intelligence, Jerry. There are other people out there that have.
That's why they have a committee.
Memphis, they got. So again, I know you guys. With bracketologies, it doesn't mean anything when it comes to the selection committee, but you use common sense. You got Memphis right now as a 6. There are other people
I'm trying to predict what I think they will do.
Yeah, but other people got them as an 8.
Based on what they've done in the past.
How is that resume an 8? Some people got them as an 8. You explain to me. Some people have everybody and their mom has bracketology, but you the one that counts is you.
Has Memphis as an 8?
Yeah, has Memphis as an 8.
Yeah,
it's not you. It's not Lenardi. But there are some that have them as an 8. And I'm thinking, how do you look at that resume and come up with an 8?
I don't.
There you go. There you go.
So you need to ask the people who are doing that for an explanation because I can't help you.
Yeah, we don't care about them. We care about you. He's Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, CBSSports.com. He'll be updating his bracketology in an hour? I'll give you like a little bit of breakfast and then we'll get it on, right?
Yeah, if I can. Yeah. By the way, I have said, I may have even written, I expect Memphis to be underseeded.
Yep, I know you've said it. You've said it before on our show. He is,
JP. So I think they're a dangerous team.
Yeah, I agree with you. All right, we're on agreement here. It's kumbaya here on the show. He's the one and only Jerry Palm, CBS Sports, CBSSports.com. Check out the bracketology today. He updates it every day. And follow him on Twitter at JPPalmCBS.
Jerry, your Bears made a big trade, looks like.
Who they trade?
Really?
Joe Thuney. They're getting Joe Thuney, all pro.
Oh, wow. They're getting Joe Thuney?
The offensive lineman?
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice. That would make one functioning offensive lineman.
4 more to go. Thank you, JP. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, thanks.
Wow, they got Joe Thuney. What was the trade details?
I don't know. I just said that the Bears are trading for him. There's a couple different people that reported the Bears are trading for him.
Caleb Williams is smiling. We'll take a break, come back, wrap up hour 2. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Since 1948, in the alley, the Rendezvous. I'm with John Burgess. John, what's going on in the Rendezvous? Well, there's some things about the Rendezvous I'm going to talk about. For example, we make it really easy to park. We have valet parking right at Monroe Street in our alley. We also want to make it easy for people to get to doors. You can now park in our alley right at our front door and put your flashers on. People also forget that we take reservations for 6 or more. And we have a wonderful party room upstairs that can accommodate people for rehearsal dinners, birthday parties, reunions, graduations. Our rooms seat between 25 and 275 people. And everything at the Rendezvous can be packed to go. But we also do catering. See our menu online, and we can even deliver for groups of 15 or more. So if you have any questions, always feel free to call us at the Rendezvous because we answer our phone ourselves. You'll never hear, please listen carefully for our menu list change. Press 1 for reservations, press 2 for hours, press 3 for catering, or if you know your party's 9-digit extension number and the first 3 letters of the mother's maiden name, dial it back. Come see us at the Rendezvous. Since 1948, the Rendezvous. At Rocket, we believe everyone deserves their shot at the American dream. So if you're feeling locked out from homeownership, we're here to give you back the keys. Opening doors, breaking down walls, and doing everything we can to keep renters and owners. And we're not going to stop until we help everyone home. To find out more, visit rocket.com. Rocket, own the dream.
Are you getting the lowest possible rate on your mortgage? At Southern Security, we offer low rates, flexible terms, no PMI, and unbeatable service. Refinance your current mortgage with the Mid-South's best mortgage lender. For more information, visit us online at southernsecurity.org or call our office at 901-452-7900. Southern Security is an equal housing lender. Southern Security is a proud supporter of the University of Memphis Athletics, federally insured by the NCUA.
Tiger Nation, Memphis men's basketball returns to FedEx Forum Friday, March 7th at 8 when the Tigers welcome South Florida to Bluff City for their season finale. It's senior night as we'll honor 5 seniors prior to the game. A special halftime performance from the Palm and Ambush Crew alumni. And one lucky student will take a half-court shot for a chance at $10,000. It's time to stand up, Memphis, and cheer on your first-place Tigers. Be sure to get your tickets now at GoTigersGo.com.
Now back to Sports 56 Mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5 FM. This hour is brought to you by James Gaddis Jewelers.
Don't you just love it?
Here once again, Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy.
So yesterday they announced the new committee members for the college football playoff. I didn't see anywhere where the college basketball committee, their new members were announced, but that's what Jerry said, so I'll have to look that up. But for college football, 5 new members for the committee for 2025. And then also Baylor AD Mac Rhodes gets the promotion, gets the bump up the chair. So he'll be the guy trying to explain why a team is where they are and why a team is not in the playoffs and all that good stuff. But the 5 new members include Maryland AD Damon Evans. You know, he's got to figure out why he's still got Mike Loxley employed as the head coach before he's going to be making decisions on who's in the playoff. So I'm not sure about that decision to put him on the damn committee. I know he's a smart guy, but God bless it. Why do you still have Loxley there? Longtime football writer Ivan Maisel is part of the committee as one of the new members. Former head coach Mark D'Antonio. Middle Tennessee State AD Chris Massaro. And former Ole Miss player Wesley Walls. How about that? On the committee. And then some holdovers, including Hunter Yurachek, the AD at Arkansas. They're all going to be a part of the selection committee for 2025. Usually get 2 years, don't you?
I believe it's 3 years.
3 years?
Terms that they serve. I'm not positive on that, but I believe it's 3 years.
So to roll over into the new contract and who knows, probably the new format, right? As it's expected at least 2, if not 4 more playoff teams are added. From the National Football League, Saquon Barkley gets a 2-year contract extension with the Eagles worth $41.2 million, $36 million fully guaranteed. He's the first $20 million running back. Who says it's over for running backs?
It has certainly been a revival based on last year and all the success that the free agent running backs had and their moves and everything else. It's teams, I think, are starting to look a little differently again back at the running back position, and maybe it is a little bit something more important for them to spend money on.
What is Derrick Henry making? Either one of you guys know?
I don't remember what exactly he got for Baltimore.
But obviously it's less as he becomes the first $20 million running back. Saquon Barkley does.
He's on a 2-year, $16 million contract, so $8 million a year.
Wow. I'd be in the office asking for a bump if I'm Derrick Henry. Also last night from the NBA, I neglected to mention it. Maybe I did. I forgot I mentioned it. But LeBron James in that win for the Lakers over the Pelicans, he had a triple early in the game, first half, won over 50,000 points for his career.
It's actually funny because, like, he technically went over 50,000 before, but he has 99 points that are floating in the universe.
What do you mean?
Not to be, because he has 99 points between play-in games and the championship game of the in-season tournament.
Okay.
That don't count as stats anywhere.
Are they 99 Luftballons?
They're out there. They're just in the basketball universe, but not applied to the regular season or postseason. So really, he actually got to 50,000 a little while back, a few games ago. But again, because the NBA, for whatever reason, just doesn't know where to place those statistics, he now got officially to 50,000 points. Since turning 40, by the way, his named Player of the Month yesterday for the month of February, too. Just crazy. Since turning 40 years old, he's averaging 26.4 points, shooting 54% from the field, 42% from three, 8.2 rebounds, 8.1 assists.
My gosh.
He's been incredible. And that's why they're on this incredible run they're on right now, too. They wasn't like, I don't know what it is now, but he's been absolutely amazing.
How do you explain they're playing better defensively without Anthony Davis?
I have no idea. I mean, part of it just guys stepping up probably and playing harder on the defensive end because they know they have to.
Well, one thing you're getting with LeBron James is rebounding, just like you're getting with Doncic. So you're getting the boards. But with Doncic, there's a liability in guarding man-to-man. I can't imagine Jackson Hayes is a great defensive player, but he must be pretty good. Obviously, they tried to get Mark Williams, and that thing didn't work out. But again, I go back to what I said earlier and what we talked about yesterday. The teams that made moves have benefited. Now, Dallas was on the other side of the big trade, and it didn't work out for them. And again, I wish Nico well in his next endeavor. But for Golden State, it's worked out very, very well. For the Lakers, it's worked out very well. For Sacramento, went out and got Zach LaVine. They're playing some really good basketball right now. We need to take a timeout. When we come back, busy final hour. To Michael Cole on the Grizzlies. The issues with the team. The injuries that are starting to mount. And tonight, it's Oklahoma City in town for a late tip-off. We'll talk all things Grizz with DeMichael Cole, and that'll be followed by more Memphis Tigers basketball talk with Parthu Pajai from the Daily Memphian. You're tuned in to Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Sunrise here. I'm an actual customer of Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis in the Mid-South. I was so impressed, I endorsed Pella as the standard in affordable luxury. And now, Pella's even more affordable. 12 months, no interest, no payments, plus 50% off installation. Mention you heard this on the radio and get another $500 off. I'm telling you, as your consumer investigator, as their customer, make the wise choice of Pella Windows and Doors of Memphis in the Mid-South.
Sunrise is a state of mind. Sunrise on Jefferson and Sunrise East on Poplar aren't just the best places in Memphis to get a hot, fresh breakfast or lunch. Both Sunrise locations are places where you can relax and forget about everything outside. You can sit, eat, have a drink, look at the original folk art, maybe make a friend or two. Sunrise doesn't mean you have to get up at sunrise. Sunrise doesn't mean you have to constantly be in a rush. Sunrise means you should be able to go where the employees care about you and not your politics. Plus, really good biscuits.
The first ever preseason pool spa and patio event is going on now at Family Leisure. First time ever. Unbelievable savings. You want a pool? They're starting at just $19.99. How about a spa? They're starting at just $29.99. Patio furniture sets are starting at $7.99. Cold plunges and swim spas are just, well, I can't even say those prices. But I will say, they're priced to move. There are so many deals going on right now during the first ever preseason pool spa and patio event. You've got to come in and see the savings for yourself. But wait, there's more. You can register to win either a free pool, a spa, or a patio set. Yes, a free pool, spa, or patio set. Just stop by Family Leisure to sign up. This is a first time ever preseason pool, spa, patio event. It's going on right now at Family Leisure. Family Leisure, Wing Road at I-40. Family and fun come together.
This traffic brought to you by Brinson Tax Service. They protect you like family.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. It's already picked up with that traffic volume coming across the Hernando de Soto Bridge on 40 eastbound over from West Memphis. Still moving at the moment down I-40 from Germantown Parkway all the way down to Sycamore View Road. However, it has picked up on 51 coming in from Millington. Hey, Weimer's Jewelry, 7525 Highway 64 is your full-service family-owned jewelry store here in Memphis. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is Original Sports Station. We are Sports 56, WHBQ Memphis, and W253 DF Memphis.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:02 the time. Hour 3 here on Sports 56 Mornings. Greg Aston, Eli Savoy, Elijah Seegers with you on this Wednesday, March 5th, 2025. We're broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studios. Family Leisure, where family and fun come together. Their first ever preseason pool, spa, patio event going on right now. 2120 Whitten Road, just north of I-40. It's currently 43 degrees, cloudy, wind advisory in effect with wind gusts occasionally over 40 miles per hour. The rain is leaving the area. It may get a lingering shower this morning, but pretty much gone. Then tonight, mostly clear skies, 32, so we're going to hit the freezing mark tonight. Your Thursday looks to be pretty good, mostly sunshine, a high of 56 degrees. Later on in the hour, we'll talk with Parthu Pajai. Coming up next to Michael Cole. But before we do all of that, I want to tell you about our third hour sponsor, and that's the fine folks at Jenkins Floors and More. If you are looking to recarpet your home or business, put flooring down, new flooring, that's what they specialize at Jenkins Floors and More. They specialize in flooring and carpeting, plus backsplashes and plantation shutters and blinds and ceramic and porcelain tiles, all that stuff. And they sell it wholesale, save you lots of money in the process. They're located at 2356 Goodman Road in Horn Lake. You can't miss it going down Goodman Road if you're heading south on 55. Make a right there on Goodman Road, about a mile down, a little past 51, and you'll see it. They are good people. Timmy and Rebecca Jenkins have been in this business for about 9 years or so. They started in their garage down in Cleveland, Mississippi, where they have a store. and then they've turned it into this big business. Little Rock, Arkansas, they also have a store there. But Jenkins Floors and More can get the job done for you in a 2-week turnaround. That's their promise to you. So if you go with Jenkins, they'll come to you. They'll give you a free estimate. No matter where you are, they're going to come to you, show you different samples of what it will look like, and then they'll get the job done in 2 weeks. But for you contractors out there, your do-it-yourself homeowners, it makes sense to get this top-of-the-line material at a discounted price at Jenkins Floors and More. Forget about the big conglomerates, the big box stores. This makes sense to me, and it should make sense to you. You get 10% off if you're a Sports 56 listener. Ask about your family discount. Military and first responders, as I said, they will get 10% off. Great family, great service. The number is 662-469-9350. If you are driving, don't try to write down this number. Call the station. We'll get that number for you for any of our sponsors. They're open Monday through Saturday. It is Jenkins Floors and More. Michael Cole will join us here in just a few moments to talk some Grizzlies. And then, as I mentioned, we'll talk some Tigers. But, tonight, 8:30 tip-off against Oklahoma City, and it's unfortunate.
Like 8:45 tip-off.
Yeah, even later. It's unfortunate that Memphis won't have the full arsenal.
Yeah, again, they kind of owe Oklahoma City one for what Oklahoma City did the last time here, but with no Jaron, possibly no Ja, and others, this will be a very difficult task to try and end the losing streak, and very well could be a 1-4 homestand, which is not ideal this time of year to have a 1-4 homestand. But you knew coming in, this was going to be a very difficult game. That's why, losing the San Antonio game, the Atlanta game, especially those two, you just really could not afford to have those losses.
You know me, I'd play these guys till they're falling down on their knees, but it probably makes sense. You're playing Oklahoma City, the best team in the West. You're struggling of late. You've lost some heartbreakers. You don't have Jaren Jackson Jr. Probably makes sense not to play Ja tonight and get him ready for Friday.
Yeah, again, I don't know where this shoulder stands and where he is pain-wise, all that stuff. But, yeah, I mean, if there's a guy that you're thinking about resting tonight, it probably is okay to rest them. I don't know that it's going to matter as far as trying to get a win tonight.
Well, after the game tonight against Oklahoma City, at Dallas Friday, they're beaten up way worse than Memphis. I mean, obviously, you have Kyrie out for the year and Davis probably out for the year. Then you got the Pelicans, although Zion's now somewhat healthy and they're playing better. They're still 17-45. Then the Suns come to town. Again, you just beat them in overtime. Capable, but a little bit dysfunctional. Then the Jazz come to town before you play Cleveland. So there are certainly winnable games right there in that little gap between the game tonight and the game on March 14th against the Cavaliers. Let's talk Grizzlies with DeMichael Cole.
It's time to talk some Grizzlies basketball. Joining Greg and Eli is DeMichael Cole, Grizzlies beat writer for the Commercial Appeal. Here's DeMichael with Greg and Eli.
Here's DeMichael Cole from the Commercial Appeal, covers the Grizzlies and does it outstandingly. He's on with us each and every week talking Grizzlies. You can follow him on Twitter at DeMichaelC. He joins us now on Sports 56 Mornings. Good morning, DeMichael.
Good morning, guys. How you doing?
I guess I should call you Dr. Cole because I'm about to ask you some medical questions, and you probably don't have answers to it. All right. You may have just heard what we just talked about. I said with Oklahoma City in tonight, and the fact that the next four after that are certainly games that are very winnable, and then Cleveland comes to town. Maybe Ja doesn't play again tonight, and then you get him back for Friday against Dallas, but I don't know how serious this shoulder is. Do you have any inside info on that? And what about my thoughts of not playing him tonight?
Yeah, everything I've been told is this is a short-term thing. You know, I think they put the fancy medical term, the deltoid contusion, which is, a fancier way to say he's been dealing with the shoulder soreness, right? So, I did see, at the last shoot around. It'll be interesting. They have shoot around here coming up in the next couple hours. So we'll see if he's doing anything, during the media viewing portion there. But he wasn't at the last shoot around, and that eventually led to him not playing. But I don't think it's a long-term thing at all, just something they're being careful with. Obviously, the right shoulder has been kind of, a little pain for him over the last couple months with the AC joint sprain, other shoulder soreness, and whatnot. Now, with that being said, look, I completely understand your perspective of, arresting him or whatever the case may be. But if it's truly a contusion, and look, and I'm of the mindset at this point that every game is of the utmost importance. And I know it's Oklahoma City, and you have slim chances of winning from the start. But if guys can play at this point, it's go time. Because if you sit out games, you fall down the standings, you decrease your chances of making a run in the playoffs. Like right now, we're talking about a situation where you're game and a half up on the Rockets, but the Rockets have, they have the tiebreaker. So you don't want to play around with that. The Warriors, have been winning a lot lately. They're slowly creeping in there. There's still a gap there. I mean, you're still 5 games up on them in the loss column. But with all that being said, I'm not just giving away games just to give them away. Even though, again, OKC is going to be a heavy favorite in this one. Mm-hmm. You don't know how the impact of Ja Morant could. We've seen him and the Grizzlies win some games over the course of time, some games they shouldn't win. So, look, if guys can play, I'm playing them at this point. It's a sprint the rest of the way. You fall in the fourth. The Lakers have won 7 in a row, so you're a game and a half behind them. I don't want to fall any further back. You want to try to get that 2 seed if you can.
Fair enough.
In this just heartbreaking 3-game losing streak with shots in the final seconds, which has been just absolutely crazy. Taylor Jenkins has taken a lot of criticism. I had some real problems with my biggest things were the last defensive possession against the Knicks and then the lineup he used in the second quarter against San Antonio, which made no sense to me. But there's a lot of people that have been very critical of Taylor Jenkins here in this little run and before that and other times as well. But do you think that's fair criticism right now for these last few games?
Yeah, I think it's fair. It's vastly fair because at the end of the day, he's going to be the one who, gets the bulk of the criticism with some of those decisions that he makes. And look, I don't think that Taylor Jenkins has done a bad job by any means as the Grizzlies coach. He's done a fine job. In a way, like they've progressively gotten better. They've been a contender. They've just kind of flamed out in the playoffs a few times. And I've always, even before this season, when we were talking about Taylor Jenkins and his status or whatever the case may be, the regular season really didn't matter much to me. Like, I always felt they're going to be a really good regular season team. It's going to come down to how this team performs in the playoffs. That's where I'll have probably my stronger opinion on what needs to happen with Taylor Jenkins next, because honestly, he's proven that he can put a really good regular season team out there, and you can nitpick the minutes played and things like that. But they've been a 2 seed twice, and they were a 2 seed a week ago, and now they haven't been with 3 close losses in the last week. And you could say, they're games that the team's supposed to win, but they're also games where in this 3-game losing streak, you lose that game to the Knicks, and then the next 2, you're without Ja Morant again, man. And look, Ja Morant's your star point guard, and he hasn't played more than 5 games in a row at any point this season. So, it's not like he's just in an ideal situation for a head coach here, where your stars are readily available, each and every night. You had a stretch, where Dez has missed a little bit of time this year, but it's been mostly Ja has been out of the lineup a little bit more than Dez and Jaren. So, that situation isn't ideal. I think the numbers are real when you talk about, his lack of success against the proven teams this season. But guess what? When that's really going to show up? It's really going to show up in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I'm waiting on at this point, because we can talk about the minute situation and all that, but Taylor Jenkins says I'm playing, we're playing the long game here with the injuries, right? We're playing the long game. You know what the long game is? The long game's the playoff. So I'm like, okay, if that's your mentality, then when the time for the long game results get here,
yes.
I want to see the results. I want to see a team that wins the first round series and really wins the second round series. Like, because that's going to be the difference maker. You go into the second round, and that's why you want that 2 seed, so you can have home court against potentially the Lakers, the Nuggets, or whoever it may be. Win a second round series, get to the Western Conference Finals, show real progression to where people can say, you know what, we don't just think this team could, potentially win a championship. We know it could happen. So with that being said, I say all that to say that I'm still where I was before the season. Like, of course, there's all these little annoying things that are happening, but just like you see the bad things, there are things that he's really good at, and some of those good things have led to the Grizzlies kind of, out from a talent standpoint, not being on the level of certain teams and still winning games, over the course of his team. So with that being said, I think that I'm still, look, if they flame out early in the playoffs and it looks embarrassing and the offense looks bad, look, something's got to give.
He's gone if it happens, and I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of Taylor. I say it all the time on this show. But he's going to be the fall guy, certainly, and not that he's without blame. But he's also told which players are available. I'm not sure exactly if they talked to him about minutes and who can play. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's going on that probably we're not privy to that information. But either way, if they flame out, DeMichael, he's done. They're going to make a move. If not, and they make a run, they get to the second round, play competitively, then he'll probably come back. I think it's pretty simple.
Yep. That's all it comes down to. I mean, this regular season stuff is fine and dandy, but I don't think anyone, if you can nitpick the regular season, but you can't say that he's been a bad coach in the regular season.
Exactly.
I don't think you can say that. So, to me, it just comes down to the playoffs. Like, anyone who says, oh, let's fire him during the regular season, I mean, you could say the inevitable is going to happen when they get to the playoffs, but I think he's been good enough to where we deserve to see that process play out.
Let it play
out. What he's telling us, we're playing the long game.
Right.
All right, you make all these changes, especially on the offensive end, not because you were a bad regular season offensive team. They've actually been solid in that area because you've been terrible, in the playoffs where you're struggling to score 100 points in playoff games. So let's see if that continues or if there are some changes made when the postseason gets here.
When you talk about, and he says we're playing the long game, how much of you do you think that's him, that's what he actually would like to do, or is that he's told we're playing the long game and he actually would rather probably go the other way?
Yeah, I think there's a mix because, he wants these guys to play, I think, in a certain degree, but, there are certain things, as they say, it's above your pay grade, above your head, or whatever the case may be. So I think this is an example of that somewhat. Like, with John Morant, for example, being added to the injury report, a couple days ago and not playing. I don't think that he anticipated that initially, but then, when it happens, you plan for it, you game plan for it. So, there's been times, you remember the very first home game of the season. I'm sure you guys will remember this because it was kind of like a viral clip in a way where John says he wouldn't have played, if it wasn't the home opener. Basically alluding to the fact that he made the decision to play. So you just remember moments like that, and you do realize, guys have power in those decisions, and at the end of the day, the guys are the ones who have to go to the medical staff and say, hey, look, I feel this in my shoulder, I feel this in my ankle, I feel this in my calf, and things like that, if there's not an obvious injury, that's kind of been seen in a game or something.
With Jaren going to be out for a little while, do you think that kind of changes their approach with Ja a little bit? Realizing now we're not going to have Jaren for these games, we need to have Ja.
I mean, the urgency is definitely up now, but it's going to be up. I think at the end of the day, Ja Morant's going to have to feel good about playing. Ja Morant's going to say, I'm confident in my shoulder. When these bigs come out and set these screens on me, I'm confident that when they barrel into my shoulder, I can just, shrug it off and go back on the other end, knock down some shots, or whatever the case may be. So I think that's somewhat going to be the thing for Ja. If even before this shoulder soreness injury or whatnot, it's very rarely, because I don't know if he's not trying to make it obvious or whatever the case may be, but you see him kind of, playing around with his shoulder a little bit, whether it's rolling it after a big screen or something like that. You can tell that it's probably been a little bit irritating in this recent stretch.
I understand we're dealing with 2025 athletes. They're making a lot more money for the most part than 1990 athletes. But I wonder if we're getting close to the point where some of these players, although they wouldn't admit it to you or any of the media, that they're getting a little tired of what's going on with Ja. They're getting a little tired of not having their best player available for games. I can't even imagine if Scottie Pippen missed the bulk of his games basically for a 3-year period and Michael Jordan be like, everything's cool. There's no way it would happen. So I wonder if we're going to get to that point where some of these players, maybe not openly, but are just like, what is going on here, man? Can't we have the full? And it seemed like Santi Aldama kind of like, not exactly towards Ja, but was kind of leaning towards saying something like that when he made his comment the other day. And I don't think anybody has seen him since. I think he was he was sent to Transylvania or something.
I saw him last night.
No, I'm kidding. He
was at the Hustler game.
But in reality, I mean, don't you think that after a while, and it's been a long time, that they can't depend on him and it starts to be frustrating? Or they're just like, kumbaya, everything's great?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I've had conversations with guys, not even just particularly about Ja, but like last season, just so many injuries happening. And, they've never given me the intention of, that they're, like, fed up with it. And, that's usually one of those in-house things where you kind of talk to guys through those situations or whatever. But I haven't got that sense, and honestly, I think I was saying this to somebody the other day. I feel like that's where, those guys who've been battle tested through championship runs kind of come into play a little bit. Mm-hmm. Because how many times have you heard, over the course of years when guys go on championship runs, they say, man, I played through this, or I played through that.
Right.
Or, I was dealing with this, in the NBA Finals, and I had to get this in the offseason after we won the championship. Like, so it's part of the journey, in a way. And the players say it all the time, man, no one's 100% at this point of the season. So maybe you need that voice. And I'm Tayshaun Prince being in the front office, like he's one of those guys. He wasn't exactly 100% a lot of times in those Detroit Pistons playoff runs or whatever the case may be. So
yeah, good point.
It's something where you need that voice probably to kind of illustrate that to the players, because in their minds, maybe it is as simple as, all right, I'm hurt, I'm going to go tell the medical staff, and let's get on top of this so it doesn't become a long-term issue, instead of like, we need these next couple games, man, so we can kind of keep ourselves in the position to best compete for a championship.
And then lastly, which has something to do with what we just talked about with Ja Morant, and this goes back to Zach Kleiman's statement I'm reading right from your story in the Commercial Appeal. This was when the rumor was that maybe the one executive had said anonymously about maybe Ja, keep an eye on that for the summer, right? Ja maybe on the move. I can't blame other executives for fantasizing about us trading Ja, Kleiman said. But it's just that, fantasy. And I believe that. I believe he's telling the truth. They're not looking to trade him. We are not trading Ja. But then he goes on, continue to underestimate Ja, this team, and this city. We will let our performance on the floor speak for itself. Boy, right now he's got to be wondering what the hell is going on.
Yeah, I mean that he was putting the fire out, right?
Yeah, he was putting the fire out. Maybe started another one.
Yeah, and another one for you with Taylor Jenkins. I think it was before the last game on Monday. He said essentially, I'm paraphrasing here, but he said he's fully confident that Ja Morant will be able to play, how many ever games needed, the minutes needed, for this team during a playoff run or whatever the case may be. So the point that I'm making is that Kleiman, Jenkins, they all are still highly confident and really believe in, Ja Morant and his health and whatnot in terms of his ability to help this team, reach the next level.
Yeah, there's not a lot of other options, right? You better be positive that it'll happen, but talk is cheap. Hopefully it will be, as I've always said, and I think we discussed this last week, that we know the importance of Jaren Jackson Jr. and the importance of Des Bane and all those guys, but, man, John Morant is what makes these guys tick, and even though they haven't had a great record, even with him in there in the playoffs, he individually has had some really standout performances and has good numbers. They need the guy. Hopefully he's on the floor, maybe starting tonight against Oklahoma City. Of course, DeMichael will have you covered. It'll be a late night for DeMichael, so get a nap in this afternoon if you can, and we'll talk to you next week.
All right, will do, guys. Take care.
Thank you, DeMichael.
Folks, East Coast Wings and Grill. When the Grizzlies are on, Tigers are on. Of course, we're getting to that time of year where get basketball all day long when we get into tournament time, from the conference tournaments to the NCAA tournament. Great time to go over and enjoy some great food at East Coast Wings and Grill while watching all of the action. Of course, baseball season will be here before too long as well, and you can watch that there as well while enjoying some of that those great wings with 60 different flavors to choose from, 7 different heat indexes, plus many other great items on the menu, 24 draft beers on tap, and during happy hour, Monday through Friday from 3:30 to 6:30, 2 for $1 on the draft beers. Great, great deal right there. Can't beat that deal. Plus, there's other drink and food specials. They got their rewards program where you can earn rewards for every dollar that you spend. This Saturday, they've got their first crawfish boil of the season. They do these from time to time this time of year. And this weekend, this Saturday, will be the first. Charvy will be playing. They'll have live music. The crawfish will be going. Just always a great time when they do these over at East Coast Wings and Grill. That's this Saturday from 3 until 7. They're located just off Highway 64 in Bartlett. They're the Wolf Chase area, right between the Lowe's and Walmart. East Coast Wings and Grill.
Parthu Pajai joins us next to talk Tigers basketball. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk. Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Hi, fellas. I'm Bill Russell at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. And Christmas and Valentine's Day have come and gone. And at some point, you need to make your favorite lady happy on her anniversary or her birthday, or just because she's special. At Russell Brothers, we've been helping Memphis men for over 40 years do just that. When a gift-giving occasion arises, we're here to help you. Magnificent diamonds and exquisite gemstones are our forte, and you can find them set in stunning range. Beautiful necklaces, shimmering bracelets, or perhaps an elegant pair of earrings. The possibilities are endless, and at Russell Brothers, you can always know that if you surprise her and she'd rather have something else, we're happy to exchange or refund your money within 30 days. We know you don't hit a home run every time at bat. Beauty, value, quality, and service are the things that set Russell Brothers apart from other jewelers. Come see us at Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers. Let us help you say you're the best to that wonderful lady in your life. Russell Brothers Fine Jewelers, 4646 Poplar at Perkins.
Welcome to Fat Larry's in Bartlett. Come in today for award-winning barbecue and so much more. Catfish, steak burgers, chicken, certified prime Angus beef steaks, along with all the sides, homemade rolls, delicious desserts, beer, and service that is out of this world. Fat Larry's cooks everything made to order just for you. Dine in or order online at fatlarrys.com. We're the best barbecue, southern cooking, and friendly atmosphere in town. Family owned and proud of it. Fat Larry's, conveniently located at 7537 Highway 70, just west of Appleton.
Hi, this is Troy Five Ash, owner of Five Ash Roofing. Did you know there are so many roofing companies in Memphis that I don't even know them all? So that begs the question, which one should you choose? So I thought I'd give you a little background about me. My grandfather was a World War II Marine. My father worked for the University of Memphis for nearly 30 years. My mother, a pianist at Raleigh Baptist Church. Seems like forever. I went to Brownsville Road, Craigmont, and Bartlett High School, class of 81. We support the local school systems, youth athletics, and believe in what St. Jude and Le Bonheur stand for. I'm a Tiger and Grizz fan. The point? Memphis is my home. Five Ash Roofing will be around if you ever have a problem with the service we provide. Five Ash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical, with deep local ties in our community. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Five Ash Roofing is what we do. We're here for you.
station every Sunday morning at 11 to join Ottawa Presbyterian Church for worship. Ottawa is a PCUSA church located in Memphis.
Brought to you by Triangle Meat Company, feeding Memphis since 1967. Open 8 to 5, Monday through Friday, 4790 Summer Avenue. Trust Triangle Meat Company.
Sports 56 traffic.
Good morning. We have seen a few rain showers still lingering around in certain areas, especially north of Memphis. Be careful as it builds on I-40 coming in from Fayette County into Shelby County. Still moving, however, on 40 West from 269 all the way down to Sycamore View Road. If your lawn needs some help this time of the year, don't worry. Lawn Solutions has over 30 years experience. Call Lawn Solutions today at 867-5626. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56 and 98.5.
Welcome back, everyone. 9:30 the time. We opened the show today, talked the first hour about the Tigers' victory last night over UTSA, gave you a chance to call in and text in some interesting comments on that. The Tigers hanging on for their dear lives to get that dub, but with that victory, clinching at least a tie for the AAC regular season title. First time for the Tigers since the American was formed, and they've been there from day one. They also clinched the number one seed in the American Conference Tournament next week. And on Friday at 8 o'clock, they will play South Florida senior night and a chance to win the conference outright, the regular season title. Parth Upadhyay will be there on Friday in Memphis, but right now Parth is joining us from San Antonio.
It's time to talk Memphis Tigers basketball. Joining Greg and Eli is Parth Upadhyay, the Tigers beat reporter for the Daily Memphian. Now here's Parth with Greg and Eli.
He is Parth Upadhyay, Tigers basketball beat writer for the Daily Memphian. As I mentioned, still down in the Alamo City. How are you?
Doing well, y'all. How are you guys?
Doing fantastic. Was last night, when it was all said and done and you spoke with Penny, was Penny more in a celebratory mood, a worrisome mood, a relief mood? What was it like with him after that narrow dub, but a dub nonetheless?
Yeah, I would say initially it was neither. It was more, I guess, an irritated mood. I guess, I don't know if you could see it on television, but there were two incidents that happened, right? One was toward the end of the actual game, like while there was still time on the clock. That was with Penny and an official. I believe there was 0.8 seconds left, and the official claims that he heard Penny Hardaway call for a timeout when Memphis was up 4 or whatever it was at that point. Penny said he did not call timeout, and they kind of went back and forth there. So that happened. Ultimately, obviously, Memphis inbounds the ball to PJ Haggerty. Haggerty hits 2 more free throws to make it 6 made free throws in 10 seconds, and the rest, puts the game away. And then when the game is over, Memphis is walking toward the visitors' locker room, but members of the coaching staff, Penny Hardaway included, had stopped at the edge of the court. I don't know what they were doing, but they had stopped. And UTSA's coaching staff members were walking through, and some words were exchanged. I couldn't obviously hear much of anything from where I was sitting, but it got heated enough to where a security officer had to, move Penny away from the fray there. Right?
Really? Okay, I didn't know.
Yeah, yes. I don't know if that was if that was seen on the broadcast or whatnot, but those are the two things that occurred that kind of I don't want to say soured the mood, but a little bit caused tension on a night that obviously should have been celebratory with the Tigers clinching at least a share of the AAC regular season title. But of course, we can talk about the game itself. They shouldn't have been in those situations to begin with.
Right.
Like,
We'll get to that in a second. But what did he say when you talked to him after? What did he say was the issue that it got a little heated there at the end?
Yeah. So with the first part, with the actual with 0.8 left on the clock, he just said that he believed UTSA was the team obviously that called the timeout there, but the official thought Memphis called timeout. And Penny's like, why would we call timeout when he was saying when we're up 4 or whatever it was at that point, like why would they not just inbound the ball and end the game, right? Yeah. Like that would make no sense for Penny Hardaway to call timeout. So he was saying that it got to be a little bit of back and forth with him and the referee there. So that's what happened first. And I think whatever tension from the end of the game, obviously being tight from that moment with the official and everything else, kind of somehow, boiled over, right? As the two teams were going, one was going to the visiting locker room, which is Memphis, and the other was going to stay on the court for the singing of the alma mater or whatever. And that's when they crossed paths. And Penny didn't go into it. All he said was that, he has much respect for UTSA and their program and the way it's run, but he didn't kind of get into specifics about what was said and what was not said in that exchange.
From the game, we did see the turnover issue again with 22 of them, and that's the one thing defensively that UTSA actually does well is they do create turnovers. Yep. But how concerning should that be?
Yeah, at other points in the season, and we've talked about this on this show, it's been very concerning, right? They've just looked out of sorts and out of sync, and a lot of these turnovers have been unforced. Last night was atrocious, of course. 22 is a season high in turnovers. But I think given the circumstance, and you're coming off a 48-hour and some change turnaround, right? Like after playing UAB in Birmingham in a very emotional game. I was there. It was absolutely raucous in that place. And emotions were high throughout that game. After the game, you saw the Tigers celebrating in the locker room. After beating, a longtime rival, right? So you're going from that. You've already got fatigue with it being this point of the season. You're down to the final couple games of the regular season, so you're already, you got wear and tear on the guys and miles and having to manage minutes and all that stuff. But then you're not even getting to go home, right? They went straight from Birmingham that night after playing such a, once again, physical, emotional, exhausting game in every sense of the word, hopped on a flight straight to San Antonio, only to then play a basketball game, like we said, about, a little bit over 2 days later. I just think it wasn't necessarily that they didn't take UTSA seriously. We've seen that before, right? We've seen the Tigers underestimate opponents and kind of look as if they're sleepwalking out there. I think yesterday they just didn't have the gas in the tank, right? So I think that's why my concern meter is not as high with what I saw yesterday as it has been in the past when they've turned the ball over like crazy against, the likes of Wichita State and Rice and others.
Do you have any idea if Penny has voiced any complaint or maybe even Tim Duncan to the league about the scheduling here, how many games in a short period of time they are playing before the conference tournament when you're going to have to play for Memphis if they go to the championship game 3 and 3 nights, for others 4 and 4 days. Mm-hmm. But Memphis having this quick turnaround, they got another one on Friday. Any knowledge of them either asking, wondering why, or questioning why it happened?
Not to my knowledge. Penny in the past, in previous seasons, obviously he's been very outspoken, right, about something like this or other issues or other qualms he may have with the league or, with whoever, really. But I think this is kind of going or falling in line with what we've seen from Penny this season is like kind of like a more measured response from him in these situations. So the first thing he said yesterday when he came to me and the other, visiting media that made the trip to San Antonio was, the guys were kind of worn out. I don't think he was trying to make an excuse, but he was just saying that the guys were worn out. It's been, obviously 2 games in a little bit over 48 hours. When they play Friday, it will be their 4th game in 9 days. It's like It's like an NBA schedule, right? Like it's a lot of games in a little bit over a week. So he talked about that a bit, but he never, really pointed the finger or said, why are they scheduling Memphis like this, and why are we having to, fly from Birmingham to San Antonio? He just kind of said like, look, it's exhausting, right? Like it's exhausting to play these games back to back, not getting to go back home. turning around and going from Birmingham and San Antonio with an already shortened rotation than he's had in previous seasons. He kind of mentioned that, but he never really kind of, at least outwardly, expressed frustration toward the league.
Gotcha.
Why are they playing a Friday night game anyway?
That's odd, right? Yeah, I have no idea.
I've never figured it out. Like, why? This is not a normal American Athletic Conference TV slot. Like, why is this game on Friday?
No, it's not. It's usually, it's been on Sundays traditionally, right? Like, end of the season. And a lot of teams in the league, I believe, I was looking yesterday, are finishing their seasons or the regular seasons on Sunday. So I'm not sure why the Tigers are playing Friday. It's kind of an odd day and an odd time. 8 p.m. tip-off. That's kind of obviously late. I have no clue on that one. From being honest.
The only thing good is that it's a Friday night for people to come out and support these seniors. But my gosh, it's still late. They may not want to do that because of that. So yeah, the schedule was really strange.
And the Grizzlies are on the road this weekend too. Because I don't know unless there was something else at FedEx Forum this weekend already. Like I just don't understand why this game would be Friday.
Yeah, either way, Friday night, senior night, and. How many seniors do you know? Again, some are grad students. How many will be honored on Friday night, and who are they?
Yeah, they haven't. The school hasn't.
They haven't announced yet. Okay.
I haven't put out a press release or a list yet of the guys who will be formally honored. But you've got to assume that the players that definitively do not have any more eligibility left, like not that. Not guys that may have a year, not guys that may apply. Dane Dange and others, but. Tyrese Hunter, right? Like his college career is over after the season. He'll probably be honored, right? I think Colby Rogers is done as well. Nick Jourdain, of course, is done, and then Musa Cisse. So you've got to you got to think those four at least will be honored, and then what they do with Dane, I'm not sure. But I think those are the obviously the guys that will definitively be honored pregame.
Next week's the conference tournament. They'll have the announcement of all the awards. You wrote a story in the Daily Memphian about, I guess, who you think, or is it who you predict will win?
Yeah.
Like, is it who you would pick, or is it what you think will happen?
I think it's somewhere in the middle. Honestly, like if I had a ballot, that's how I would vote. Okay. And I think a lot of those selections are so clear cut, right? Like I think that's how more or less the coaches will see it as well. So
tell everybody tell everybody who you got winning those awards.
Right. So to kind of get an overview on Memphis' representation, right, in those awards, I've got 1, 2. I'm looking at it right now. I've got 4 Tigers spread across the first, second, and third team. I've got PJ Haggerty as the league's player of the year. I think he pretty much solidified that after his performance against UAB. With what he did to take that game over and put the Tigers on his shoulders late in that game. And then I think Penny for Coach of the Year is almost, maybe not Sharpied in, but certainly penciled in, kind of now with, Memphis sitting in the driver's seat of the league, having clinched number 1 seed in Fort Worth next week, all of that. But first team, I've got PJ Haggerty and Dane Dange from Memphis, obviously. Jamal Mashburn Jr., it's an interesting one because he obviously, he hasn't played in several games with an injury. But with the production he had and with the amount of games he did play, I think it was like 20, 21, 22. I think that warrants a first team selection. It
only matters what he did in the conference. It doesn't matter what he did in the non-conference, right? How many games did he play conference?
For sure. I think he played, I looked at it yesterday, I think 3/4 of the conference slate.
Okay.
Which I think is a sizable portion of it. And you couple that with the production he had, Temple wouldn't have won the games it has without him.
Yeah, I got you.
I've got Rowan Brumbaugh from Tootland, the guard.
Okay.
And then I've got Yaxel Lindeborg rounding out the first team. Second team, we've got Tyrese Hunter from Memphis, RJ Felton from ECU, Primo Spears, who we saw play yesterday, obviously, UTSA, Brandon Lorient, North Texas, Quincy Ballard, center at Wichita State, to round that 5 out.
Who did in the Tigers.
Team, what was that now?
Who did in the Tigers.
Game. Yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
And then third team?
Yep, third team, Colby Rogers from Memphis, Dwam Odom, Tulsa, who's the conference's leader in assists, Caleb Banks, another double-digit scorer on that Tulane squad, C.J. Walker, who Memphis has some history with. He played at UCF previously and is now at ECU. And Baba Miller, just a kind of versatile, little bit of a do-it-all big man for Florida Atlantic.
You know what's interesting before we let you go? I brought this up the other day. I was watching, oh gosh, what was it? It was Sunday. Before the Tigers played UAB, there was a couple of other American Conference games going on. And there was two at the same time. One was South Florida and UCF, or no, Florida Atlantic and South Florida, excuse me. Florida Atlantic and South Florida. UCF's no longer in the league. And then the other one was East Carolina and whoever they played. So I can't remember which game it was and which analyst had said it, but they put up a graphic with their predictions as well, or their picks, and the guy had Ron Hunter for Coach of the Year. And I brought it up on the show here.
Are you serious?
Yeah. And Tulane,
Oh, my God. Wow.
Tulane has had a nice improvement from last year. But you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me. If Penny Hardaway doesn't win the American Conference Coach of the Year this year, then he'll never win it. I mean, it's incredible that you can come up with anybody but Penny Hardaway.
I mean, it's got to be that trophy's got to be engraved, right? Somewhere in Frisco, Texas,
I think
with
so.
Penny Hardaway's name on it, sitting in a closet. Like, that's how much of a lock I believe he is for that honor. So much so that I actually asked him about it yesterday after the game, not to kind of jump the gun, but I said, you've talked a lot about team goals and accomplishing stuff for the school and the city, but, with the scrutiny that he's faced, right, as a coach, coming in with no experience, people calling him an AAU coach and all of that stuff, like, what would it mean to you to win, the AAC's Coach of the Year award? And you talked about taking pride in that and wanting to do that for the past 6 seasons, but, never getting over that hump. So, obviously that would mean a lot to him as well. It's just hard to believe. Like, Ron Hunter is an interesting choice. Obviously, Tulane is 11-5 in the league and has had a great turnaround from what it was doing in the non-conference. But in my book, it's Penny Hardaway with a country mile lead, and then Ross Hodge, and everybody else after that.
Well, Tulane, I'm guessing, by the way, the Tulane was picked 11th in the preseason in the conference, and they're
and it's fourth now, right? Yes.
And I don't know if they've locked up the fourth spot. I guess they're close. They need to win at least one more, maybe. But that's probably why. I mean, a lot of times these awards go to the guy whose team outperformed their expectations by the most.
Right.
Who votes?
No, that makes sense.
Who votes? The coaches? Because I know the media doesn't vote.
It's the league's 13 head coaches. Yep.
So that's interesting. So you wonder if there's any head coaches that have maybe a grudge against Penny because NIL and all that stuff. So
because the coaches do that preseason, the preseason poll where they were picked 11th, is that from the coaches or the media?
That's also the coaches.
Yeah, so the coaches thought Tulane's not going to be any good, and Tulane ends up being fourth, and they may look at it and say he's done a lot better than we thought they would.
You never know what will happen. Again, the media, I think, would have slam dunk Penny Hardaway. The coaches, it's not a slam dunk. You never know what's going through their minds, but to me, it's a slam dunk that Penny, he has had a great year coaching. Look, he's had some questionable moments in his career. No, there's no doubt about it. Mm-hmm. Last year was a debacle. This year, it's been great. He should be the coach of the year. Hopefully he's honored. I'm glad you asked him about that and his reaction to it. So we'll see if that comes to fruition next week. You can check out that story and all of Parth's stories on Memphis Tigers basketball at the Daily Memphian. Safe travels back to the city. We'll see you on Friday.
Yes, sir. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Parth. Take care. Parth Upadhyay of the Daily Memphian.
Folks, for all your running gear, you know where to go. That's Fleet Feet with their 2 locations in East Memphis and the Laurelwood Shopping Center in Collierville, Pop 3rd Houston Levy, next door to Huey's. Go in there, get fitted for shoes that are just right for you based on the way you run or walk. Get all your other stuff as well. Shorts or shirts or hats, socks, anything, everything you need. They've got it for you at Fleet Feet. Heck, even advice. If you're getting started running or training for races or whatever, you need a little advice, they can do that for you as well. They're runners. They're all about the runners. They've got their group runs. They sponsor a lot of races. They're just all about the running community, and they're there to help you out if you need that from them at Fleet Feet. FleetFeetMemphis.com is the website where you can keep up to date with things they've got going on. You can also find them on social media, keep you up to date with events and things they've got going on. But go see them at either one of the 2 locations of Fleet Feet.
Final segment coming up. This is Sports 56 Mornings with Greg and Eli on Real Sports Talk, Sports 56 and 98.5 FM.
Be sure to follow us at Sports56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Instagram, and YouTube to watch live video of our shows, stay up to date with station events, and have chances to win prizes. Don't miss out on anything that's going on. Follow us at Sports56 WHBQ.
I'm Gary York. I'm the service director at Lexus in Memphis. Our service department wants to be more than just a place where you get your oil changed. We do glass repair, windshield replacement, recalibration of your camera and sonar systems, even wheel repair, tire replacement, all the things you would expect from a luxury automotive dealer. Please check out our website. You can schedule your appointment, check out our specials, hours of operation, or if you'd like to do it in person, please reach out to one of our associates at 901-271-5199.
Progressive knows when you're on your boat, you're already on vacation. And vacation you forgets all your worries. Vacation you doesn't even keep track of time. It knows that time is a meaningless construct designed to control us, man. But regular you knows you don't want to be too far out in the water after the sun goes down because vacation you doesn't know how to navigate in the dark yet. Vacation you and regular you really need to get on the same page. So bundle your boat with your Elmer Auto policy and earn an automatic discount from Progressive. And spend the savings on the both of you. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company affiliates and other insurers not available in all states or situations.
If you need glass replaced, there's only one name you need to know. Benswinger Glass, the largest full-service glass company in the U.S. They've been an industry leader for over 145 years. For all your residential, commercial, or auto glass needs, Benswinger Glass is the name you need to know. 24-hour emergency service for all commercial customers, plus a nationwide warranty on all professionally installed glass. Visit Benswinger Glass in Midtown at 340 South Hollywood, across from the Liberty Bowl. Visit BenswingerGlass.com. Benswinger Glass.
Now back to Sports 56 mornings on Sports 56.
So a couple of things. According to Ian Rappaport, the Bears are giving up a 2026 fourth rounder for Joe Thuney.
Okay.
I believe that is it in that trade as they acquire him from the Kansas City Chiefs. Also, Keith Gill, Sun Belt Commissioner, will be the chairman of next year's NCAA basketball committee. That was announced actually last summer.
That's the one that Jury was referring to?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was talking about next year's committee chair. That's Keith Gill, Sun Belt Commissioner. He's the vice chair this year. He will be the chair next year for the committee. They announced those, like this summer, they'll announce the one for the following year.
Okay. Did you watch Tiger last night?
I was doing a hustle game.
Oh,
I didn't
you had
get
the
a chance
hustle.
to watch
That's right.
anything.
So I watched a little bit of it. It was the last match of the regular season in the TGL, the golf league, and Tiger's team's terrible, and he's not good. So he finished it up. They got killed like 9-1. Now the playoffs are 2 weeks. It's right after the Players' Championship. They'll have one match on Monday, one match on Tuesday. I'm not sure when the championship is, but the Jupiter team, which is Tiger's team, did not qualify. They had Tom Kim and Max Homa last night, and all they were doing was laughing. They were laughing at everything, but it was pretty cool. Again, not the actual competition, but the fact that Josh Allen was there and Sam Darnold was there. Celine Dion was there, for goodness sakes. So it was pretty cool as far as the broadcast is concerned. The golf wasn't so good, but Tiger, according to who was it, Bob Herrig, the indication is that he probably will not tee it up in the Players' Championship. Just not ready to go yet.
I mean, the dude can barely walk. Like it's hard to go walk 4 rounds of golf.
Yeah, and this doesn't get you in shape playing simulation golf.
And he just hasn't played because he just hasn't played hardly at all since his mom died. Like he just hasn't done much golf. It's not been something he's wanted to do.
Yeah, he was spotted on the course the other day. He did some event, but yes, he's not ready to go and compete against the best in the world at the Players' Championship.
But it's funny that in TGL it ends up being that Tiger and Rory's teams are the two teams that don't make the playoffs.
Right, and that Boston team was actually star-studded. They didn't make it, but those teams out west are really, really good. The Bay Area team, the LA team, and all the playoffs right after the Players' Championship. So this comes from DraftKings. I'm going to ask both of you guys to give your picks right now. We still have 20 games or so to go in the regular season for all the teams. These are the current odds favorites for these categories. MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Yes or no?
I'm going to say yes.
Yes and yes.
He will win it easily.
Yeah, I think he'll win it. Look, again, Jokic, best player in the world. You can make the case for Jokic, obviously. But SGA, where Oklahoma City is, and the season he's having, okay, absolutely. No problem. Defensive player of the year, odds favorite, Evan Mobley, Cleveland.
I'm going to agree with that one as well.
With Jaren's injury, Mobley probably wins it now. If Jaren hadn't got hurt, I think Jaren would probably have won it. And part of this depends how much Jaren misses. If he's back after just a few games, but if he misses 2-3 weeks, then Mobley certainly.
Their most improved is Cade Cunningham. I don't know if you guys know other candidates, so I'll skip that one. It's a little bit tougher. Rookie of the year, Stephon Castle.
I'm going to say yes, just because I think you'll have the runway for these last 20 games. So I'm going to agree, unfortunately, for Jalen Wells.
Yeah, I said it once Castle went into their starting lineup, and especially now with Wemby out, he's just got more opportunity.
What's that Ricochet guy goes off again like he did against the Grizzlies?
Castle's been scoring, in the 20s here quite often here recently. I mean, Castle's been fantastic.
He was terrific last night. Sixth man of the year, Peyton Pritchard.
I'm going to go either Peyton Pritchard. Look out for Santi Aldama, though. I don't think he's an afterthought.
I think Aldama will get a lot of respect. I don't know that he'll get there. Yeah, Pritchard has been so good for them. I would say pretty good chance.
Coach of the year, Kenny
Do they have
Atkinson.
Aldama in the odds?
This is the only one I see is the number one favorite in each category. Kenny Atkinson, Coach of the Year?
I'm going to say yes. JB Bickerstaff, close second.
Yeah, Bickerstaff, it's funny because you got the replacement of Bickerstaff and Bickerstaff, but if Cleveland ends up with the best record in the NBA, there's no doubt about it. Like, he's got to get the award.
And then this last one, again, I don't know. I mean, I can understand what constitutes being the clutch player of the year, but exactly what specific criteria? Jalen Brunson, they have as clutch player of the year. I guess it would be making
Jalen Brunson or Steph Curry based on the numbers. They'll
look at their.
Is it making shots in clutch time? Like
they'll look at their clutch numbers, what their numbers are in clutch situations, and that determines it.
Steph's still way up there?
He has been top 5 consensus for like the last 5 years, so yes.
You agree with Brunson?
I don't. I haven't looked at their clutch numbers, but
okay.
I mean, it's good.
I imagine
whoever the leading scorer is, best shooter, like they'll just look at the clutch numbers, and that'll determine most of it.
All right, there you go. That comes from DraftKings. That'll do it for us today. I want to thank Jerry Palm, DeMichael Cole, Parth Upadhyay for joining us on the program. We're back starting bright and early tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. Among our guests, Kerry Miller. We'll talk a little Major League Baseball with him, but mostly college basketball. Get the latest look at his bracketology over at Bleacher Report. Waldo and Friends on Sports 56 is coming up next for Eli Savoy and Elijah Seegers. I'm Greg Gaston. Have a great day, everybody.